3, 2. Oh my God.
Yo, what's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program.
Shout out to Airtime, y'all podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. We got one of my favorites in the booth, somebody who's probably been snowboarding longer than you, unless you've been snowboarding for longer than 30 years or 35 plus. The first video part I found from this individual was 1993 and has been in snowboarding and involved in it many different levels. Snowboarder, team manager, brand manager, and the more I've got to know this individual, I'm grateful he's involved in the community at, you know, the bandwidth that he is, because we need people like him, a pillar of snowboarding. We got fucking the legend Bobby Meeks in the booth. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Woo!
I'm doing great.
Bobby
I just drove
Meeks.
about 8 hours to get here. Hyped. Out here in Whistler again. This place is awesome. Summers. Who knew? If we'd have known the summers were so good, I mean, who needs winter?
When's the first time you came here?
God, it must have been, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like early 2000, late 90s. Probably, yeah. I mean, back in the camps, when camps was up here, like, yeah, I mean, dude, it's so hard because every time I came here, it was always just like, oh, you're in town. Cool. Let's go get hammered. And you're just like, wait a minute. Can I just like take my bags to the room or something first? Like, do I have to have 5 shots and 4 beers before that happens?
Do you remember you having a bad time, though? You might not remember it, but you have fond memories.
I do have fond memories.
Blurry.
I have blurry, fond memories. Yeah. I always say, misery makes memories. So,
do you ever have beers on the hill, and how many beers, when does your riding go up and when does it go down?
Are you talking about my professional career or now? Now it's a different story. There's a different equation now.
Okay, shoot.
When I was in my professional career, I did not have beers on the hill. I can't remember drinking really and then going riding. I was very adamant about that. I never had beers. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go ride. I do remember at one point I had like a beer or two, and somebody convinced me to go like, hey, let's go back up on the mountain. And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. I've been drinking. And then I finally was like, all right. And so I went and I was just like ripping off every jump. just like, woohoo, yeah, I'm gonna try this. I haven't done this in a long time. I just remember my judgment was definitely impaired, but it was fun. But I could see like a fine line there for sure.
And now, how has it changed? Do you have like?
I still kind of have about the same thing. I'm kind of like, honestly, I'm kind of like, if I stop snowboarding, I'm kind of done. Like, I'm kind of one of those guys like, I'll go ride for like 3 hours, 4 hours straight, and then I won't eat because I'm just like, if I go into that lodge, that's it. That's going to be, it's really hard to get me to go back out. I'm like, I don't know. I'll find some excuse.
I'm kind of the same.
My body just kind of shuts down after that.
What about water throughout the day? You got a backpack with like one of those like tube straws hanging out the shoulder?
I think it's the act of I'm so amped up to go do it. And then once I stop, then I'm like, all right, I'm done. But then it's like hard to get back to that level of like, all right, we're in again. Like I could, I don't know. Like if I had to like take a crap or something like that, then I could probably, I'm running into the bathroom and I have to go to the bathroom or something. But, but when it becomes like, hey, let's grab a drink or grab some food and sit down mealtime, I'm kind of like, oh, all right. So it takes a while to get me out.
Yeah, Canada's tough for the food because a lot of times with my lack of willpower, I can't say no to the fries upgrade, which is a poutine. And you have a poutine, which used to be massive on the hill, energy levels tank. So we would drink beers to counter the tank from the poutine. But I always found that I could ride decently and fine after 1. 3 is like, I've done it a couple times on the mountain, and I'm like, I am brutal. Like I am like there. I'm going to get injured.
Yeah.
The visual ideas are all there. I'm like, oh, I should back 180 over the whole hip at 330. Like, what? The day's over. There's a crazy rut in it. It's like, I don't know, dude. Like,
I think
drinking and riding doesn't work the best.
yeah, it's like, I think that like the judgment or just like I said, lack thereof, it's just, I don't even think about it. I'm just going, you go off, it's almost like you go off of instinct after I've had like 2 beers or whatever. If you had 2 beers in the, like, I don't know, in the parking lot or something. I don't know how people do that, by the way. Tangent. How these people party in the parking lot at like 7 a.m. and they're just downing beers to go ride. I'm like, dude, how is that possible? How are you downing like 40s in the parking lot and playing just music at the top level that you possibly can? Like some kind of just really bad, like everyone, like you're a parking lot DJ and everyone wants to like, you're trying to start a party at 7 a.m.
7's a little wild.
And then you go up and you like ride all day, or they're the guy who sits next to you on the chairlift and they open up the flask and they're like, yo, you want some? I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah, I'm trying to cut back.
Shout outs. But my dog's always got a flask.
I don't know how people do that shit. I'm like, man, I even in my heyday, I couldn't do that. I'm like, oh, there's a time limit.
Yeah, liquor's never a good thing when boarding, and we recommend 0, but I think 1 and anything after that, it doesn't work. What about pot? Were you ever a big pot guy in riding?
No, I did not get into any type of like
substances
for snowboarding at all.
I was a big stoner for probably like at least a 13-year period. Like never filmed anything without not being baked.
Do you get motivated? I didn't get motivated. I don't get motivated. I'm like, it just makes me tired.
Sleepy
I'm just
motivated.
like, I'm tired. I'm like, maybe it relaxed my style if I would have done it like a little bit. I wouldn't have had such crazy arms or something. Like
crazy arms, dude. Come on, dude.
Out all over the place, hula hooping all over.
I ride with a different approach on it. Sometimes I really like it. Like it's a gray day and and I'm not advocating for weed, especially like, you never know.
PSA.
I mean, you got a family of schizophrenia or anything the weed's not for everybody. It's the same as alcohol, but it is weird that we could bring up alcohol and talk about it all day. And some people are still, you can't talk about weed, but I'm gonna talk about weed because we're here in Canada. It's legal. And I really liked weed when I was younger. And it's spiraled downhill, and now it's just the occasional joint that I really like. But I'm definitely not blazing all day and bringing mad doobies on the hill.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I'm just thinking about this now, but I feel like most of the like stoner riders, like people who just like always have to have some kind of substance or whatever. Like I feel like they're probably the most naturally talented. And it's like
Hale Stevens.
Yeah, they're just like naturally talented, and they don't want to deal with the anxiety of performance or like whatever, or they just like a zone. I feel like people who aren't as naturally talented have to like who've got to work for it more, have to focus more, and they're just a little I don't know.
I mean, pick your poison. I mean, sobriety is really cool too. You don't need to smoke weed, or you don't need to drink. I mean, do you? We kind of went on a little bit of a derail there at the beginning, but that can happen. I wanted to open this up with a very open-ended question. You've been snowboarding for such a long time. You've been involved at many different levels. Why does Bobby Meeks love snowboarding so much?
Why do I love snowboarding so much? I think it kind of goes with my adventurous and kind of like nature, I think, in a way. It's like, it's creative. It's like, it's an art form in a way, It's like, for me, it's like a release of art. It was something that naturally came natural to me a little bit. I mean, not at the level of some people, but it like was something that I picked up very, very quickly. I think the skateboarding background helped a lot, like, skating when I was really young, and that translated to snowboarding, obviously. But I feel like there's a creativity aspect to it. It's adventurous. I mean, there's one thing, like, snowboarding is also part of a community, which I really like. I'm pretty, obviously I'm kind of a social dude. Anyone who knows me, but like, I feel like there's a social element to snowboarding that is like, I don't know, underrated in a way, where it's like, you're going ride. You don't go ride by yourself. I mean, yes, people do that, but like for the most part, even if you went to go ride by yourself, you're still riding the chairlift with people. You're still engaging with people for the most part. Like there's this like social element to it. I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's always fun. A line is always fun, more fun with friends. Like you're like, dude, follow me on this line right through here, you know, like, or where you been going? Where, you know, got anything fun to ride? Like, what's happening? Like, there's this adventure that I really like, and I'm a pretty adventurous person. I never turn down like the opportunity to do something that is like, I don't know, that's going to take me in a direction that's going to be fun in a way. I'm always like, all right, that sounds cool. Let's do it. You know, like, I don't know. I think for me, snowboarding, why do I love it? Is just, I don't know. I was good at it, and it was like gave me the opportunity to like, to no longer be in kind of like the situation that I was in when I was younger. And it just, there's something about it inside that when you have a good day snowboarding, it's like, it just like this feeling of like, that's what life is all about kind of thing, you know? So that's why, I guess that's why I like snowboarding.
That's the magic. You have a good day, you go up the hill, and you run into somebody who found a new nugget. Like, yeah. I love that more than anything. Let me ask you this question. Were you a finder of spots on your local mountain, or the follower that was like, yo, you guys find any spots? Because I was kind of the follower, like kind of being like, what did you guys find today? Can I hit your side hit?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I was like I don't think I was a finder, and I'm a creature of habit when it comes to that. I'll ride the same run over and over and over again until it's just beat down. And even when it's beat down enough, I'll still try and ride it. And people will be like, dude, we're going to go try and ride the whole mountain. No, you sure? We can just go. Let's go do this one more time. Like,
what's that run called to you?
Yeah, I don't, it's like, what do
you have a name for that run that you've beat to a pulp for you at one point in your life?
I don't think I've ever tried to address it with a name, but yeah.
We
It's
call
just
it
like
Old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
We do it
Really?
Me and my crew, like Bellsville, E-Man, our crew, we ride that every fucking day. Like snow, shitty snow, like.
Well, dude, I'm not even talking about a specific run. I'm talking about anywhere I go.
Oh.
And this goes for anything. Like, it's like, dude, I rode a mountain bike here 2 years ago, and I forget. Des. From
Des Price.
Yeah. He was like, dude, Blue Velvet, you should ride Blue Velvet. And I was like, Blue Velvet, what the hell's that? I don't know what that shit is. And so I go up there, one run all day. For 2 days, I rode Blue Velvet. I never even went off a different run. It was just that thing the whole time. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's the same way how I am with snowboarding too. I'll find like this, I'll just go on a run and I'll be like, it's just like, for me, I think that like, when I ride, I look at things, and not only am I like paying attention to what I'm doing, but I'm also looking at what I missed. And I'm like, oh, what about that thing? Oh, what about that thing? Oh, what about that thing? And so I'm always trying to go back and do that. What about that thing? So I don't know.
I always look over my shoulder, and then I find like a cool hip as I already am passing it. And the next run, I'm like, there's a nice sliver right by that tree. You're just going to boost. And then because we live in Whistler and it's fucking so much fun, that next run, that sliver is gone.
or you find out, you're like, oh, there's a fucking rock underneath it. That's why it's like, oh my God.
No, I'm so good at never sending. I'm very particular with where the snow base needs to be, and I keep like an eye on all of the logs. I wait for like that big heavy snowfall to come in, get cold, that it consolidated all over everything. I mean, we luck out here in the Pacific Northwest where when storms come in, they do tend to come in with some moisture and that cakes to stuff. Where that like interior snow, like you go to Lake Louise, you know, there might be something sneaky under that snow.
You know what I think it comes from too is like when I first started snowboarding, I started snowboarding up at Bear, and so in Big Bear in Southern California, and at that time there was like Outlaw Park, and we had our own chairlift. It was pretty much the only real fun like spot on the mountain to snowboard. You know, it had an insane park. It was like pretty much a legendary park. Mike Perillo used to design that thing. I mean, he would draw up stuff. I mean, he's a great artist, so you can just only imagine like the sketches and the things. Like in the morning, he'd be like, you'd run into him and be like, dude, come here, check this out. Look up. What do you think about this? And he'd show me like some fucking like 3D drawn like element that he's going to put in the park at some point. And you're just like, yeah, it's like, it was home. And so we just we would, I don't know, 70, 50 times a day, just ride that same exact park over and over and over again. And so maybe that's a little bit, goes back to skateboarding. Like I didn't skateboard to a place most of the time. I skateboarded at a zone. Like it's always just back and forth, back and forth. Oh, skate that. Let's go to this ramp or whatever. Which is funny because when I think about my life in general, I like the exploration part of it and the adventure part of it. But like when I'm doing something like as far as like a, sport or something like skateboarding, snowboarding, it's more about the repetition and that same spot and getting the most I can out of that one spot. Like, so.
I love that. And you mentioned Outlaw Park there, which is in the video game Amp 2, which we have over there, which you are in and you've just signed. And you drew like a fox with a butthole on it or whatever. But Bobby Meeks did sign Amp 2, which is super cool. And that park I used to play all the time, riding that park in person at Big Bear, who were like the standouts back then of that park.
Well, when I first got there, I think the standouts were like Gooch. Gooch was a standout in there. And I'm going to totally miss a lot of people. And
that happens.
But I think it was like Gooch, Immigart, Ryan Immigart, if you remember that kid. He used to ride it every day. There was Brian Thien, Travis Wood used to ride it. Who else used to like just fucking annihilate that park? Brian Thien was one of the top dogs for sure. I think Todd Profit. God, I'm forgetting one of the guys' names. Like who was it as well? This kid Graham Fitzpatrick. Smoking Jay used to ride it. I mean, dude, one thing that Janamayan, we used to like destroy that park. She was great. And there used to be a lot of people who didn't it used to just absolutely kill it that never really like went too far in their snowboarding career. They just kind of, I don't know, they just moved on to new things and didn't milk it like some of us did. But yeah, I mean, they just like, and there's a lot of like unsung heroes, like people like Tara Takitas used to ride it all the time. Like, and people would come in from all over the world. Like Devin Walsh came in one time and, it's like when Devin Cody Dresser, God, he used to annihilate it too. Jason Bump, I'll probably get a lot of flashbacks here, but, actually even, what's his name? Just Mike Perillo. Even he just destroyed the park. Like those guys were everyone who rode there was like really good, specifically at that time frame, right? So I mean, really, really good. He did like a front five or something. It was like, holy crap, that guy's a good snowboarder. And now you're like, oh, he just is, front 287,000. Okay.
I have a photo on my computer. My desktop photo is Brian Iguchi on the Ouija board doing just an ollie. And it's like one of my favorite photos, and it's at Bear. I don't know if it's on that exact park, but the names that you listed there, one person who stands out to me
Matt Donahue.
Oh, damn.
Dude, he used to kill it as well.
I mean, I don't know these individuals. It's just the more that I've dove into like the history and you watch these old like Kingpin videos, etc., in that like 92 to 96 range, you're just like, fuck, what a fun part. Like you were a part of like that birth of freestyle snowboarding, and to be along that is just like, I'm jealous.
Kurt Wastel.
Whoa, dude, I saw Kurt Wastel in so many old videos that you were in. I was like, he's in every one.
Yeah, it was funny, like, dude, everyone rolled through there at that time. There was two spots pretty much. It was Big Bear, it was at Bear Mountain in Outlaw Park, or it was like Colorado. And like, I felt like there was like this, it was like almost like a rivalry, but not really, this kind of thing. It was like, oh, Colorado, you're like, oh, whatever, Colorado, like, oh, Big Bear, oh yeah, whatever, Big Bear, kind of thing, like Outlaw, whatever. We got logs, we got trees. Yeah, well, we got like, I don't know, we've got a pipe, I don't know. It was like, there was just like this rivalry, I think, that was kind of unspoken, but every day you went to Outlaw, there was always something that was like, you were in that kind of a little bit of a phase, and it might be a little bit of an over exaggeration, but like it felt like almost every day there was someone would do something new that like you'd never seen before, almost like, whoa, what the hell was that? Like, I remember doing like, we would do like front tens in like 1990. I'm going to say 94 probably. 94, 95. But it was like off your toes and you're just like hucking, dude. It was like, spindly hit in a way. And jumps were totally different back then, obviously. But I don't know. Yeah, it was a good era. It was cool because like also too, it was like there was like a Big Bear crew up there that like everyone lived up there, obviously similar, mountain town, whatever. But we would get like, there was Tim Tillman. I don't know if you probably wouldn't remember it. He was just like this, I don't know. There was just like this edginess about like some of these dudes that lived up in these mountains and rode, and they ripped, and they were like, dude, getting hammered every night, mountain town life, like no babes around anywhere. People just like frustration of the bottle, like out of the bottle. And it was just like, it was, yeah. I mean, all you had was snowboarding, and that's all we did. We snowboarded. That's it. And, I can't even like, every once in a while the weekend would come, you could take off. And, but I remember one time, we were, at Outlaw, we had that first like top section that was like full bank slalom. And these were like 6 feet, 8 feet deep. They were like awesome, dude. It was like, you could go so fast and rip through them. And it was like it was so fun. And then you got into like the park aspect, and there was elements of the bank slalom area where you could actually jump out of them and land in pretty flat areas. Actually, one time I just kept sending like backside 180s to like just so high, like, and so flat, just like almost hitting my face on my knee, but just over and over again. And I remember that dude Smoking Jay came up to me and he was like, Bobby, yo, dude, man, you gotta be careful of your knees, bro. You're gonna need those later. And I was just like, shut up, old man. Like, cause he's like older than us. And I was just like, whatever, dude. He's just an old, like a pro snowboarder guy. And now I'm just like, God, I wish I'd have heeded his advice. God, he was trying to pass on some.
Jay's just trying to send you a fucking bone, and you're like, fuck
trying
off.
to help me out, man. Trying to help everybody out, to pass along the knowledge of like, you're going to need those knees later.
17 is a wild age for just flying off shit to flat, though. Like,
yeah.
That age in particular, I remember just going massive and not giving a fuck if there was a landing. Now the only person I see doing that is Rene Renekongas. I'm just like, everything he does, he can overshoot, undershoot, deck, land. I'm like... And he always lands, and you're just like, his body was designed in every aspect to just ride a snowboard perfectly. Like, that kid is fucked good.
He's
sick.
very talented.
Yes.
Very, very talented.
Incredible.
And he's Finnish.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good dude.
I just want to give a little bit of a shout outs here, kind of a little bit of a derail, but a plug also. Monster ended up sponsoring this show not too long ago, and I think a big part of that was having somebody who came from snowboarding and saw the value in something like this, and that's Cody Dresser. And I actually got to meet him for the first time a couple months ago, and I was like, such a fucking snowboarder still. Like, I sat there and I just talked to him for hours. I think we were talking for like 2 hours, and I'm like, yeah, that guy had back shifties. He's like, they weren't that sick, dude. Like, this guy's back shifties were like, he knew everything that I would try to like all of my studying from that like 1991 to like 97 era. I would try to shine light on certain things, and he'd be like, you're almost right, but this guy did it better. Or dude. I'd be like, that guy like never really got the shine. Who did I say? I was like, that guy never really got the shine he deserved. He's like, are you fucking kidding? He was in every magazine back in the day. He got more than he deserved. Dude, I was like, damn.
He's so awesome. He's like, he's been that way his whole life.
I'm
like,
fucking huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've known him, he's just a ball of energy.
Yeah.
He loves snowboarding still. I went on a cat trip the other 2 years ago, or a year ago, and up at Baldface. And dude, he was just like a little kid again. I was like, dude, what? Chill out, dude. I'm like doing lines where I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, dude, you're like 50 years old, bro. You're older than me. I think he's older than I am. And I'm like, damn, he's got the energy. He was so sick too. If you look back at his footage back in the day of like in his heyday, like his frontside spins off his toes were just money, dude. And no, there was an era of snowboarding where people didn't spin off their toes anymore. Like it was like frontside spin, like off of your toes was like a lost art almost. And now people bring it back a little bit, but like that was like, yeah, it just like seemed like it just disappeared once like, you know, sliding off your heel edge came into.
Could be done with control.
Yeah,
because you're gonna hold an edge.
Well, yeah, when you dig in your toe edge, and next thing you know, it's like a lot of times, like I had to like actually stop spinning frontside off my toes because I somehow started dropping my shoulder, and I was just getting like completely vertical, like spinning like straight. And then once I started doing that, dude, I was like, oh my god, and I couldn't stop, and I couldn't fix it. I was just like crushing me, and so I had to relearn how to spin frontside off of my heels.
I mean, off the toes, I would say when I first moved to Whistler, 2005, was cool that year. And literally the next year, every single snowboarder that was really good that spun off the toes in this whole town, no one did it anymore. Like 06 just stopped. Everyone was like, yeah, that's done, dusted. And then the cork spin a couple of years after that was like nobody was doing like dunked out cork spins because it showed that you didn't have control to keep it flat.
Yeah.
And now it's just like everyone's so good they can just do anything they fucking want.
Dude, now yeah, it's insane. But I think also too is like you lose so much pop off of your heels. Like it's not there half the time. Like I don't know, just like off your heels, you kind of like. I mean, there's a little bit. I think maybe to me, I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but like I feel like there's a spin element. Sure, you can probably spin pretty fast, but there's not that element of like that hold your edge on your toes, the wind up, that like snap off the top of the lip that you get when you're on your toes. That just like that Kevin Jones or like just like that pop that happens. I don't know. I feel like you can't get that off your heels.
Yeah, for two names that come to mind, or maybe even three. But Mark Sollers does front threes and front sevens off his heels with a little bit of heel edge pressure. And the pop that he can get off of his heel edge on a frontside spin is insane. And Heikki Sorsa was really good at that as well. Like his front sevens were just like, he has a front sev tail and it's just like, he's like holding. There's no scrape. It's completely straight. It almost looks like he's going to do like a front one, if anything. And then he just waits, dunks his. I used to watch that clip all the time. He just gets all of the pop off that fucking lip,
dude.
Now it's like a lot of the contest kids, like they all kind of got it like that.
Dude, they're all. I mean, it's kind of insane. I don't even know what they're doing nowadays. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
I don't
know.
even.
Who's
I'm like,
coaching
dude, wait.
these
When
kids?
I saw a wobble in there, that means he went an extra 360, right? He kind of like flipped over a little bit, and then how they can like kind of just they stop in midair, in a way, like right before they're gonna land. And then they just drop like into straight. It's like mind blowing to me. I'm just like, what? And then even to take it even further, these kids can do like a back 10 onto a down bar and just stop. And then all of a sudden they just, head down a little bit. And then they like, I refuse to call it pretzel, but, and then they like just go out like the hard way, the other way. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, dude, how did they do it? Like, it's just mind blowing to me.
Let's hear that. The pretzel, have you never used that lingo?
I have never liked pretzel. I don't know why. I've just never. I was always like, it just kind of sounds like rollerblading to me a little bit. You pretzeled out. Like, did you Mobius in? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it just sounds kind of whack. I always just like, what is it? It's the hard way. It's the hardest way is the other way. So like, why not just like hard way? He hard wayed out. Like it was like a hard way. I don't know.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I didn't do the trick, so I didn't have to like say it all the time. So,
but you were riding around with a lot of the innovators, like you mentioned Brian Thien there and stuff like that were like the rail gods back then. Did anyone did JP, did anybody you were around in those early years call it pretzel and you were like, that's just whack? Or is that a later term that kind of got boomed in the like early 2000s?
No, I think there was towards the end of my career, there was like people started calling it pretzel. Yeah. And then also it was like pretzel, off the donkey. The
like donkey. Yeah. If you go the down.
Yeah, the little guy at the bottom. So there was like a lot of like lingo that was getting thrown out, and I was like, oh wow, this is
my
all interesting.
generation.
Oh, all right, okay.
That's all us.
So it's a donkey now. All right, here we go.
What about if you do a frontside 270? You're regular. You go off your heels, frontside 270.
Yeah.
If you go off the other side, so you have to go on your toes, like the same way you would do a lip slide. but you do a 270. Do you call that a hard way 270?
Well, are you talking about like coming off the side? So you approach it front touch, you would come on the left side. Say you're regular, you come on the left side, boom, you front side 270 land, and then you come off back left or right. See, I wouldn't say, for me, it was more about the full reverse of rotation. That's where the pretzel part came into me. It was where I was like, whoa, like pretzel. I'm like, I don't know, that just sounds weird. Like,
and then the 270 out that came in big, it was like the front blunt 270.
Yeah.
Or the front board 270. However, you don't have trucks, in case you're like really skate and you're like, front board 270, whatever. But then Quebec started calling it Danish. And then Ontario back then used to call it bagel. And I remember being like, oh God, like bagel and Danish. And like, I was calling it 270, but then I came out here and like 17-year-olds from all over the world are like calling shit different. And then, now there's books, literally like forums, I should say, not books, online people arguing about what it's called. I'm like, just kind of, you should make the call. Is it a front board 270 if you're just basically doing a back three, but you touch the rail, front board 270? Bagel Danish? Did you ever call it a bagel or a Danish?
We never used the word bagel.
There you go. It's over.
Unless there was Einsteins in front of it.
Let's switch gears here a little bit. You started working at High Cascade. What's your role there right now?
I'm the VP of Marketing and Partnerships.
VP of Marketing at a snowboard camp. Why do you think snowboard camps and that snowboard camp are play a big role in snowboarding, and why are they important?
Well, I didn't get to go to snowboard camp when I was a kid. Would I have gone? I would have lobbied my brains out to go to snowboarding camp. Like from that age of like, snowboarding camp is very impressionable. When you go to camp, like I always say this all the time. It's like when you're a kid, do you remember, or even now, do you remember what you scrolled through yesterday? Like, do you remember what you scrolled through on the toilet an hour ago? No, you don't. You have no idea, but you'll remember camp for the rest of your life. You remember the food. You remember who your coach was. You remember all of these elements. Who was in your team? Like, you remember everything about camp. It's like a life experience. And so I think that that's important for kids. It's an impression. Like that's what snowboarding is about. It's about that community element, right? The experience, the adventure element. It's everything about snowboarding all condensed in the summer, which you don't even get to, you get to snowboard in the summer. When I was younger, snowboarding in the summer, there was a little teeny patch up in Mountain High that was called The Patch. And it was like literally in I'm going to say it was like 1992, 91 maybe. And you would there was just a little, I think maybe it was like 20 feet of snow, maybe, that would stay in the shadow. And that's like, people would go, oh, are you going to go ride the patch? And they're like, yeah, we're going to go to the patch. And you have to go find this patch in the middle of the thing. And there was like I remember someone put like a pole jam. Like it was like even a rail. They didn't have enough to put a rail, but there was like a piece of wood, like it was like a pole jam. It was like one of our first jibs that we hit. And that just that element of like snowboarding, being able to snowboard in the summertime is like kind of mind blowing anyway. And so I don't know, it's like camp is where you go to be immersed in the culture of snowboarding, where else are you going to get that other than like living up in a mountain town when you get older? Right. So when you're a kid and you want to be a snowboarder, it doesn't even matter if you have aspirations to be pro or whatever it is. It's like snowboarding means something to you, or maybe you're even discovering it. Like we have kids who just show up and we have this thing called soft start. And it's like they've never even snowboarded before. They've only been a couple times, and then you kind of hold their hand through it or whatever. So there's just that immersion into the culture of it and that experience that just puts an imprint on your life, And anyone you talk to who's been in the snowboard industry through either like any snowboarding brand, any pro, anyone who's been in the snowboard industry has been through camp. And everyone talks about it. Everyone remembers like, oh my God, I used to work there. I was a counselor. I was a coach. I used to sleep in the Ark, the horror stories about the Ark. I don't know. There's just something about that and the immersion into the culture of it that you get, that's so real and pure, that, and also so fun, that you have to do it.
I have the fondest memories of going to camp, both Camp of Champions and Down to Hood, and all of those memories are just like seared in my brain. You also remember like who the standout was pretty much every summer of all the different years. You're like, whoa, like Dylan Ojo was really on that year, or like E-Man or Joe Sexton or Simone Chamberlain or Torstein. We had like every year there was like a different rider who was just like, you're like, it all clicked. They had their like, they came down to camp for a month and they were like Scott Stevens, you know, they're all like, they all have like, they're like, I mean, Scott Stevens is kind of just a continual god year.
He kind of lives down the street.
And Austin Smith, dude, his shit this summer.
Sneaky camper, dude.
I mean, he's one of the best snowboarders ever, and I don't think a lot of people know that.
That spot of him in Never Not, where that shot of him doing that back 10 in that red jacket, just from the up, it's like one of my favorite. He just is so smooth.
I've always
He's
been,
one of my favorite humans.
Yeah. Amazing human, incredible snowboarder, blew his knee too many years in a row to really go to like, I think he could have been up there with like the greatest of all time.
When you've been snowboarding since you were like 2 years old or whatever the hell he's been doing, he's like lived his whole life on a snowboard. He's like really good at it.
Yeah, totally. I always say to everybody on the podcast, if you want to be really good, go ride pipe.
Dude, you know what's funny is like experience camp. I never got to experience camp when I was in general up at Mount Hood, and the first time I ever like went to even knew you could snowboard in the summer, I had just gotten sponsored by, I just did this, my first snowboard trip, my first editorial trip from Snowboarder magazine. I got a call from Doug Palladini, who was like, hey, just random call. It was like, hey, this Bobby? You know, like a home phone, my friend's home phone. And he's like, yeah, we're doing a road trip story up to 15 all the way up into Salt Lake City, and we wanted to know if you wanted to be a part of it. And I was just like, yeah, sure, let's do this. And then so I ended up going on that trip, and that was like my first impression on Salt Lake City. And I brought Jason Bump with me, and so it was like Bump and myself. And then remember Jim Moran? Like,
remember the name.
He had a little brother named Mikey Moran who kind of, he didn't really have the career that Jim did, but cool kid. But like we went on this trip, and at the end of the trip, Brad from Bonfire was like, dude, who do you ride for clothing? And I was like, Bald Clothing. It was like a snowboard shop that had like this stupid clothing brand that was part of it. And I was like, I mean, they gave me some clothes. I don't know, maybe I ride for him. And he's just like, you want to ride for Bonfire? And at the time, Bonfire was the shit. So I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll ride for Bonfire. And so Brad was like, cool, this summer we're going to go up to Mount Hood. And I was just like, what? Mount Hood? I'm like, why are we're going where? Is it like this summer? We're going to go snowboarding in the summer? I hadn't even heard of it yet. Like, that's how new I was. And then, but I remember he's like, oh yeah. So we went up there, we got a house up, and I got immersed in like, not in camp, but in Mount Hood in the summer, and was like, dude, this is crazy. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this kid from Sweden who's going to join us, and his name's Ingmar Beckman. Yeah, he's just, he's kind of shy, but yeah, you guys will get along or whatever. And I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. And I'm just like, holy shit, this kid rips. Like, what's his name again? And not only that, he was like just crushing people on the skateboard too. And like, yeah. And I just remember that was a time when like, I just remember when Ross Steffi worked for MacDog, and I think it was like Ingmar, there was a session going on one of the big jumps, and I remember Ross Steffi running around on top of the jump, or maybe it was Todd Hazley. I think it was Steffi, and he was yelling at people, everybody, put your cameras down. This is a MacDog shoot. This is a MacDog shoot. Put your camera down. And like screaming at everybody. Because every summer you would go there and you would see things that had never been done before for the most part. Like you were like just people you had never heard of from wherever. Peter, backside rodeos, like Ingmar doing like switch sevens and like, switchback sevens that, what? Like things that you were just kind of blowing your mind at that time. And yeah, it was just kind of a cool cool intro to Ingmar Beckman. And then I was just kind of like, I'm kind of humble. So I was just like, oh man, nice to meet you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that kid's going to be something, whatever. So I saw him. I didn't see him for a couple of years. And I just remember I saw him one time at just randomly at the airport, just like at an airport somewhere. And he was just like, I like kind of was like walking toward him and he looked at me and I was just like, I think that's Ingmar. And he goes, Bobby, hey, what's up? And he like was so friendly to me. And I was just like, the whole time I was just like, dude, I can't believe you remember who I am. Like, I was starstruck in a way because he was so good. And I think this was like right after maybe his part came out in not Brown Trout. What was it? Warriors. I think it was Warriors or whatever. Like Substance. His part came out in Substance, and he was like the Cat Tracks, and he wrote for Paperback Writer. Like it was like kind of that era. It was just like, man, that kid just blew my mind. Like so good.
Who would you say are some of the most influential riders who have come through Mount Hood over the years?
I mean, everyone. Everyone's been to Hood. Like I said, like everyone did their stint. There's a few people who went there who were like, yeah, that did a few things. There was one year, and I think it was like JP and those guys. Those guys jumped the pipe.
Oh, Bjorn. I think he hit over it. Yeah.
Yeah, jumped the pipe. That's what kind of like, whoa, no one even had thought. I mean, it wasn't super pipe at the time, but like, I mean, still, even if it's the mini pipe, even if it's the Bodie Merrill mini pipe, I'm like, I'm not jumping that. That's high consequence.
I'm pretty sure Bjorn
man.
like front 180s it or back 180s it.
Yeah.
There's a sequence of it, old one.
It's like mind blowing. I'm like, dude, what? I'm not doing that shit. Kidding me? But yeah, I thought that's just like everybody's been through there. So,
I mean, Midlife Crisis crew came in hot this year and filmed like shit that I was like, it's actually like, I don't think people realize just how fucking sick that is, that crew got together, came to Hood, filmed, and then rode, not like, we did a bunch of frontside airs or what, like they fucking ripped. The next day, I like ran to the gym, started stretching. I'm like, you gotta step it up, like fucking
dude. They're all old,
Dude.
Like Blaze Rosenthal has like more energy for snowboarding than I've ever seen him. I've known that dude a long time, but he is so fired up right now about snowboarding. It's like he's just like step back in time or something. It's insane.
They did such a good job of like ripping that fucking mountain that I often pretend in my mind that if I was a team manager, like who would I that crew, I would literally be like, is it like I think I should sign one of these people because they're like ripping again and they're really influential and they're an important person of snowboarding, and like that whole crew I would look at like rebranding, like branding in a different way and be like, having one of those people on your team right now and be like, that's our, like, if he's gonna fucking keep shredding like that, like Kevin Jones is fucking riding really hard these days. I mean, Chad, the whole crew,
dude.
Like,
Chad,
fuck, Chad's annoying. He's so good.
He is like the goat. When you talk about the goats, it's not about like, because he pretty much can still do almost anything.
He's as good as he was 28 years ago.
He's never stopped. It's just he keeps going, dude. I'm like, how are you? How does he do it? What is he eating? What kind of vitamins is he taking? Is he on has someone tested him for steroids or something? What's going on? I think he might be doing injectors or something. I don't know what is going on here. How is he riding so good for so long?
Chado, dude, the fucking legend, dude. He's definitely up there with the greatest of all time and an amazing human. I roomed with him and I was like, this guy is the fucking best.
He's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He's like so cool. But anyway, yeah, so like Chad, Blaze, Daniel Frank, to see him.
Mellow.
Dude, I hadn't seen him in I don't know how long. It was like, it took a second. Like he introduced himself to me. Like, hey, how's it going? I'm Daniel. And I was like, how's it going, Bobby? And like, we both kind of looked at each other and he was like, oh, like he was like, dude, how's diving? Like it was just like, I don't know. It's like stepping back in time. I don't think maybe I'd seen him in like, maybe I'm not, to be honest, like 20 years or something like that. 15, 20 years. Shannon Dunn, Peter, like, dude, being, raised by chipmunks up there. Like, it's awesome, dude. And they are all like, I can't say that they all have the same ambition as Blaze, because I don't even think Chad has that ambition.
Damn,
Dude,
that's a heavy claim.
He is on fire. Like Blaze, I'll talk to Blaze some days and he'll be like, dude, I haven't snowboarded in one day. You know how hard that is? I'm like, he's like panicking. He's like, they just shut the park down. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
I'm like, dude, take a breath.
Somebody sign Blaze, dude. Get Blaze, bro.
Take a breath. Take a
dude.
breath. But yeah, it's like they all rip. And like Todd was there.
Every day that those fucking legends are together, you can see that they're like, fuck, Blaze is really sending. I gotta step it up. You see like Todd like at the end of the year doing back sevens and shit. You're like, dude, he wants to kind of still be like, I still got the fucking juice. Like,
well, I feel
and
too,
they do.
Like snowboarding in the summer is fucking hard. Everything takes more effort. To turn takes more effort. To like ride straight takes more effort. Like you can feel the drag. Like it all just kind of like it's a harder, it's a different type of snowboarding, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then when it gets slushy, you're just like, a lip gets slushy. It's just like, oh shit. Now you're digging your edge in too much.
A choppy landing, like landing on a jump and then going through that middle war zone to the next jump. Sometimes you're like land, heel edge check, and it's like dug. And then you're going up the next jump and it's freshly salted. Like you got to be on a fucking mission when you're riding from one jump to the other jump.
Dude,
park staff can only do so much in those conditions.
I feel like Zeb or someone like that should just be like, I'm gonna fucking take advantage of that landing.
Yeah, totally.
Land and into a back 12 or something.
Dude,
like
you've unlocked Zeb. The next amp 2 that comes out, he's got to be an unlocked
dude. He's
character.
gonna land right in one of those bomb holes and just send it again. Like it's gonna be sick.
So there's been a lot of talk in the last bit about gatekeeping in snowboarding. Some people are really pro. Some people are really like against it.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yep.
What do you mean by gatekeeping?
So there's older people in snowboarding that want to continue to have it the same way as it was in the past.
Yeah.
And they want it to be structured that way. And for someone like myself, there was people that were, let's say, gatekeepers of the magazines and the videos, and you had to somehow prove yourself in one way or another in order to get like it through the gate to be accepted into Sandbox or into a Mac Dog or into your local video, and you needed to stamp somebody in order to get in the club. And now there's definitely pros to not having that, but there's definitely some cons to not having that because there's less of a filter. To someone like myself, I've always really felt like it was really nice to have those people, because getting the nod from somebody like a Sheen or a Devin or a Kevin Sandslone in the local community, somebody who's been doing it for way longer than you, I think is an important part of snowboarding. Whether you're a cook, like a line cook, or you're doing construction and you show up and you're known as the greenhorn or the new guy. Construction, especially labor jobs, the first year is a little bit of a grind, but it takes a bit to be in the club. Because now with social media, there is no filter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody can be a pro snowboarder, but there is nobody like filtering that anymore. And I just wanted to know if you think that having a filter, like getting the nod from someone like yourself or Todd, or like, is that important, or does that not matter anymore?
I think there's two elements here. One is like earning it, right? Just earning. You got to be in it for a while. And that just comes in time. Like you meet people, people, like you meet a filmer. I mean, how, like when we would go film, it'd be like one of the filmers going, hey, we're going to bring one of my homies, this kid along as well. He rips. And then you wouldn't even know who that was. But if that kid didn't blend, if he didn't like gel with everybody, then that was probably the last time that kid like hung out with us. Right. But maybe he did rip, and he just had a shitty attitude, and we were like, dude, this kid's whack. And so like he didn't ride with us again anyway. So I feel like it's like almost like self-policed in a way. It's self-governed in its own manner. And I think that that's fine. I think like you should have to earn it. Like you should just be like, oh, I mean, it's a special thing. I think it's like, I also think it's very hard to do that. It's very hard to get in with the right crowd. like, because good people gravitate towards good people. And like, so it's like these crews develop where it's like, holy shit, that crew's so sick. How I want to be a part of that crew. And most of the time when you search it out, when you try to be a part of that crew, you just never make it. You're like, you're trying too hard. And you're just like, dude, sorry, man, you're not there.
JP, Jeremy, let me hang out with you.
Hey guys. You know, it's like, it's got to be a natural transition for that. And then the other part of it is almost like that purveyor of culture, right? That like the culture of snowboarding, like where's snowboarding going? Are you a gatekeeper of like, are you the negative guy who's like, no, back in my day, you know, this is what snowboarding's about. Like you're spinning too much, or you're not spinning enough, or like, I don't know. There's just like this, what are the guardrails for that? For like keeping snowboarding pure and real. And I think that that's a lot harder to say because one, it's like, it's an ever evolving sport, you know, and to say that it's a sport is just like a weird thing anyway. I mean, was it really considered a sport until it was like in the Olympics? I guess it was, but it's like, it's kind of gymnastics in a way it's getting to be, you know, it's, and I don't mean by like the parallel bars or like whatever. It's almost like the floor routine, you know, there's a bunch of, or figure skating where it's like, there is such an insane talent that is happening there, but there's also a creative element to it. And I think that like snowboarding is kind of moved in that direction in a way. And like, I mean, how many contests have you seen where it's like, yep, back 12, everyone's mute. Everyone's doing the same thing. It's like, because that's like the pinnacle or peak of like everyone who is the amount that you can spend at that time or whatever, you know? So I don't know. And right now we're just seeing a boom in the act of spinning, you know? So you're like, all right, cool. I mean, some would argue, even from my time, of like anything over a front three, you know, is like blasphemy, you know? It's like, or a good back seven, or like, you know, it's like the soul of snowboarding was, I feel like, has been kind of, I wouldn't say it's lost, but I'd say that's been kind of pushed to the side with social media now, because now it's more about the wow factor. Like, holy crap, like, wow, you know? And, but those who do snowboard, like who live the culture, who've done it, and I would way rather watch an insane 180 over something, or do something, or a 7 or a 3, 5, whatever it is, that's just smooth. It's just so stylish, and you get to see the pure, like the purity of somebody's snowboarding style is like, that's better than any like spin trick you can do, like the amount of spins that you can do. So that's kind of like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or a good thing. I just think it's a very hard thing to police, and it's a hard thing to put your, like, you can be that dude who's, you know, get off my yard, get off my lawn, or, you know, and age gracefully with like a, you know, it is what it is. Look at these young bucks. You know, and that's kind of the approach I take to it. I do think the more it turns into rollerblading, the more I am embarrassed by it. But, and then also now with skateboarding, where you're like, dude, that kid just did that backflip. Like, that's longer than any rail kink that I've ever done on a snowboard. And he just like, I'm like blown away by skateboarding right now in rails. It's like insane. So,
did you see that kickflip backside 5-0 by Nyjah on the C-rail?
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, I can't even fathom that shit.
Do you think that there's been a digression at all in the progression of snowboarding over the years?
I just think that you hit a limit. You hit like there's only so much you can do. I mean, like, at least like now skateboarding is finding its way of like finding the technical aspect of rails. Like, I don't think it was there before. Now, before it was like, oh, just 5-0 or hop on as long as you can, you know? Now, like, these kids wake up doing kickflips. Like, they can close their eyes and do like switch kickflips to like whatever. And so like, it's just an ollie. It's like, they don't even ollie anymore. They just kickflip. And it's just like, boom, they just kickflip into a nose grind of down like, you know,
whatever.
Yeah,
Doesn't
whatever.
matter.
It doesn't matter. And then they just like, look, he'll flip out or something. You're like, what? So it's like, for me, I don't know. It's just like, there's only so much you can do on a snowboard. And it's not like I want to watch more on rail. Like you're like, okay, cool. That guy just did a 4-kink. That was insane. Or like whatever. He just did a 50-foot rail. I'm like, do I really want to see more rail? I don't. So where does that go? I personally don't want to like see somebody like hold a pose for longer just because I'm like, okay, well that could have been, I don't know. What's the difference between that and a 30 and 50 and I don't know. To the innovation aspect that you ask about, that you just said, to me, it's like you're limited with snowboarding. It's strapped to your feet. On a skateboard, you can like flip in, flip out, do shit along the way. There's trucks. You can like kind of do a bunch of weird shit, like on snowboarding, you're just kind of stuck in that little zone. You're like, I'm going to land. I'm either going to land 90 or I'm going to land, 50. Like,
so what would be your advice being a team manager and being so involved in snowboarding for such a long time and seeing so many people come and go? What is your advice in 2025 to stick out?
I just think it's like personality nowadays, it's like style, personality. I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that just rip and, they just, I don't know. I feel like this is just like a cliche thing to say. If we've been saying this since I was like 24 years old, like, don't worry about being sponsored. Just go out there and be yourself, like that's what we've been saying that shit forever. And so like, I think for me, it's just being a real person, like half the time, and like, I'm not going to lie. Social stuff helps, it's like, it helps that you have followers. It helps that you're documenting shit, but it's not everything, it's like what, again, goes back to who you know, who's in your crew, like who do you hang with, who your sponsors are. Like that shit matters. I mean, that's going to matter more as like, than just as much as like clips for the most part. It's like, are you doing the right things? Are you, and I'll probably, people don't want to hear this aspect of it, but if I put my brand hat on, it's like, what are you doing for the brand? What are you doing for the company that you ride for? Because if you're not doing something for the company that you ride for, then why do they have you on the team? If you're not being a positive influence, and like you can take that in any way of a positive influence, and I'm not saying to sell out. There's ways to engage with your community that can make you can make a difference. There's ways, like I still get people who own a shop or whatever, I'll go to like Interlude or something like that. And they'll be like, dude, you came to my shop and like signed autographs and like fucking hung out for a day. Do you remember that? It was in like Minnesota or like, St. Louis or like just these weird spots. And like, those were times that when my team manager would be like, yo, hey, I need somebody to go to some shop and wherever and sign autographs. And I'm like, I'm in, like, send me, I'm cool. I'm down. I just providing value to it. Not only that, but I never turn down like a plane ticket for the most part. I'm always like, well, okay, cool. Let's do this. I don't know. I don't care where we're going. I'll make some type of fun out of it. I don't care. Like I'm totally in on the experience of life. So if we're going to Europe for a day,
I'm in.
Okay, I'm in. I'll be there for less than 12 hours. Okay, I'm in. Like, let's do it. Like, I don't care.
How do you think kids who are on the come up, they're good, they're talented, they're probably the best at their local hill, and they want to get some kind of funding from their brands? All of the AMs right now. How do you think kids can ask for money from a sponsor in a way that could land? Because I think every kid who is really talented, there's 100 people hitting up. Let's say if you ride for Ride and you're hitting up Ride right now, there's probably 100 kids right now that are in that Amish area, or should be, that are talented, who have clips, who are really good, who are either a contest kid or a backcountry kid or a rail kid, who have it. What would change your mind to be like, that kid should get some budget?
I mean, that's a great question. I think ideally, you got to have thick skin. and hopefully you do, because you can't take no for an answer. You got to just keep going at it. I mean, like, you just got to keep asking and keep hitting that person up, because eventually they're going to tell you no a lot, but eventually you're going to get that shot. And when you do get that shot, you got to make the best of it. You got to be like, dude, I am here. I got a positive attitude. I am going to fucking rip. Like, I'm going to be the best person on this mountain. And sometimes you get hurt, or it doesn't work out, or whatever. Like, but I think you, as someone from the brand side of things, and also too, when you've, you've been snowboarding for as long as people like us, like, you see it, it's in them, but you also know it's in all these other kids. But like, you got to see the hunger in it. Like, that's what's you got to pay your dues for a while, like, you got to be hungry, and you got to be like, yeah, I'm going to ride for fucking cheap. I'm going to work on the mountain. I'm going to get time off. And that's what most of the people that I've dealt with from, raising people up the ladder, that's been their path of like, they just keep coming at me with like, dude, is there any trips I can go on? Can I do this? Can I do that? And a lot of the times I'd just be like, dude, I'm sorry, man. I don't have any room. But if there was, like I said, like, there's some of those kids that you, especially if you have a lot, or even if you have there's like one on your radar, from a brand standpoint, you're like, I need to get this kid on a trip. Just one, or let's bring him out for a catalog shoot, or like whatever. But a lot of that comes because out of sight, out of mind. So like, if they're not hounding me and being like, and not at a point where I'm like, dude, stop,
Yeah.
but like, they have to just like, hey, how can I help? What can I do? Like, dude, are you gonna, you guys are gonna be is there a booth? Can I work the booth? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, whatever, however you can get involved. I think that helps out a lot, because you just get your foot in the door. You get from that level, you have to become, the people above you have to become familiar with you, and be like, dude, that kid, or you've got to just blow their minds. Like, because video parts nowadays, I feel like they don't mean as much anymore, because everybody kind of rips, to be honest. And so you're like, well, it's kind of more that personal level. Like, I met that kid. He's fucking cool. I want to support this dude. Like, I have a personal connection with him. And unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. It's like the people and it goes back to, like I said, with getting in with crews, and like you finding your way in and the gatekeeping, which is like, life is about who you know. It literally is. Like, you're going to know people, or you're going to be the person who it's about who you know, and it's about opening up pathways and those doorways to like, to opportunity. And so I think that's a good way, is just keep going. Don't take no for you can take no for an answer, because sometimes it's not good just to show up at places. But it's just keep going at it, man. Just fuck. And don't get disheartened, because like, it is disheartening. Like, it's you're going to get a lot of no's and a lot of like, but it's not going to happen overnight. It takes a while. You write people, like, especially nowadays, you end up writing like and for a long time.
Well said. I mean, don't take no for an answer, and don't be the keen, annoying kid. Like, you got to find that balance.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a couple checkups, throughout the year. I'm imagining maybe like, every 3 months you're writing a little bit like, what up? Like, how you doing? Yeah. This is what I'm doing. Can I help
Here's
out?
An update. Check this out. Just posted this. I got, I think also too, a good thing to point out too, is like that person that you're talking to that is just like the TM, or maybe he's a social manager, whatever. That could also be just one guy. It's like a lot of these companies have sized down so much, it's like the industry is not the healthiest industry right now. So like a lot of them have like 8 hats on. It's like, oh, he is the photographer, he is the filmer, he's shooting double, and then, or he's the team manager and the social guy, or he's like, he's a marketing director, or maybe even the brand manager. Like, there's other elements to it than just the fact that like, oh, it's just a team manager you're speaking with. So if your email doesn't get answered, or your text messages, or like whatever, like, just keep that in mind. Don't get disheartened from it, and just be like, yo, like, okay, you didn't get an answer, cool, whatever. Like, just keep going, keep keep on trucking. You know?
Don't take it so personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal, man. Just like life.
Thick skin.
Yeah, you got to get thick skin.
I like that.
And then also too, regarding camp, like coming out to camp, I mean, like, dude, like everybody that works at a brand, like at some point came through camp. So like you're going to meet people at camp who eventually, like, okay, let's just say you're like, oh, I was, you know, maybe you're a little younger, but you were also like working with one of the counselors. Well, now that counselor is like the TM over at like whatever brand, one of your favorite brands, or maybe he got a job at the brands that you ride for. Like that shit happens.
Oh yeah.
So like, dude, camp's awesome for making connections. So like, just keep coming back. You know, it's like, you see people like example, like Miles Fallon, dude, that kid is awesome. He fucking crushes it. And he like, but he comes back to camp every year almost. Not that he needs to. It's just because he enjoys it and he's just like likes the high fives and likes that element of it, you know. And I'm sure he's doing all right on a paycheck wise, but he's just like, it's a part of the culture, and like you just meet people, like you get to hang out with your homies.
Yeah, and the one thing that I feel like people might have skewed is that it's this like selling out feature to like make that time to go down to Hood and like be involved or whatever. Or I mean, I'm mentioning Hood because it's one of the only camps left in North America. Unfortunately, so it is the place to go right now. But it's not selling out. It's like you're going down there to meet amazing people, and because this is why I'm kind of an advocate for gatekeeping, which I think a lot of people hate on, but I am. But it's like, gatekeeping's kind of like this like edgy, it doesn't seem rounded enough, you know what I mean? Like I don't mean for gatekeepers to come off as like this, like we don't want to accept more snowboarders. It's like, no, we want everyone to snowboard. It's incredible. You go outside, you get healthy, you meet incredible people. But like it doesn't mean that we don't want it to have a look and a feel and a vibe. Moving forward, you kind of mentioned there that snowboarding's not in the best place. And it's not in my eyes because it's getting milked out by like so many companies who can overnight start a goggle company, smack their logo on anything these days, especially goggles. It's like literally anyone can start a goggle company. So you don't have enough snowboard goggle companies supporting snowboarders. So because anyone can, but there's thousands of goggle companies on the shelf, and there's gonna be thousands of boards to choose, and everybody can have their own hyper niche company. And some of these companies, to me, the majority of them don't have the stamp of being a genuine snowboard company. They don't care about the culture or the people or snowboarding. It's just like a cash grab on our culture because it's cool, but it's diluting what we all care about. And then real brands that actually care are taking a hit because these other companies are fucking shit. They're like poser brands and they're popping up everywhere. And that's the reason why I think I'm a bit of an advocate for gatekeeping, because I want these like poser brands that have nothing to do with snowboarding to stay out, and for people to get educated and support brands that actually care about snowboarding and support camps and people that have been in the industry for a long time, because we do fucking care and we care about the people that are in it. And yeah, that's kind of like my little rant about that.
I like that. That was a good rant.
Did it end good?
Yeah, some water.
Should I have some water after that one?
Yeah, it's pretty
Not
good.
bad, eh?
Yeah, pretty good.
I landed the plane.
I also think that there is like an irresponsibility that has happened.
Oh, go.
And
dig deep.
And yeah, well, also too, it's like with brands, you know, we went through COVID, and not to blame this all on COVID, because this shit was happening years ago. It's like snowboarding was booming, and people are making product like left and right. Like they're over-indexing. Like everybody is over-indexing the amount of product that they're putting in the market. And what does that do? Eventually, it just like, dude, it makes product cheaper. It makes, like, why would you buy a brand new board when you can buy one for like $150? You know, that is brand new. Oh, but it's a year old. Like, so, like, you don't care if you're like just starting out a snowboarder, unless you're like into it. Then you're like, dude, I got to have that new. And even if you're like that kid who's like, I got to have that new, you might just have that new board that year or that new jacket the next year. It's not like isn't necessarily always a whole kit, right? It's going to be like, I'm going to invest in a piece. And for the most part, like the industry really survives off of the general public, you know, that snowboards. It's not technically all us core snowboarder dudes. Like the people who, us that are listening to this podcast for the most part, we're such a handful of we're like the heart of the industry, but like there's a whole body that is like also running this thing. And like we all need to like buy product in order to still do the things and support the things that we love to do. The culture, the like everything about it. So I think there's an element of that where it's like, just because your factory can pump out 50,000 boards and you doesn't mean you should make 50,000 boards. It's just maybe it doesn't mean that just because you think you can grow 30% every year doesn't mean you should grow 30% every year. Maybe you should try like 10% and keep everybody happy. Sustainable growth and like keep the industry healthy. Like that's the responsibility part. I think that like a lot of people miss in a sense because it's like, it's just more of a power grab, it's like, oh, like we sold out, like we need to make more next year. You're like, well, sure, you could probably make more next year, but how much more? Like a lot of times people over-index that. And then so, I don't know. And if you're like growing in the marketplace, cool. But if you're oversaturating the marketplace, like a lot of people, because it's not just your brand, it's everyone else's brand, like product, it just dumbs product down to a point where you're like, I don't need new product. That board's $600, $700. Like, I could just go buy one off of like, it's brand new, it's still in the wrapper for like $200. Why wouldn't I buy that? And then the company is like, well, we didn't sell enough boards. Well, you made too many boards like in the past, I just think that there's like, like I said, I don't know. I don't want to rant on this, but there's like
I love it.
There's an over-indexing of like, there's just a responsibility, and it's not like everyone just kind of needs like, you need to get all the brands in the room and just kind of spit in a handshake and be like, yo, we're only doing this much. We're going to starve this industry for, a couple years, make product valuable again, and then go at it from there and not over.
If the brands do a really good job of showcasing the special aspects of snowboarding culture and why it's so awesome, all the platforms, then you build snowboarding back up to what it was, which is it's a very fucking cool thing. When I was a kid, all of the people in my high school knew that I was a snowboarder, and our friends were snowboarders, and so many people in our school just bought into buying a Genius t-shirt or a Forum shirt or a Dub or DC shirt because people wanted to buy into that identity. They didn't want to fully be a skateboarder. They wanted to wear the shirt to be like, I kind of fuck with that shit though. I don't skate, but like I want to be affiliated with that community enough that I'll buy the shirt because it means something if I wear the shirt. And I think that like in snowboarding, because it's getting kind of milky and diluted about what snowboarding is and what it stands for and what it means to be a snowboarder, I think that that's where like we need to protect the heart so that the body wants to fucking stick around, Yeah. Like if snowboarding is inherently fucking cool, kids aren't stupid anymore. Kids will buy into shit that's cool. And snowboarding is the fucking coolest if we preserve the coolness about it. But if we don't, it gets diluted, and then we don't have that soul anymore, and it's fucking gone. And kids don't want to buy into something that's whack that doesn't have like a feeling to it. Preserving this culture is what will make snowboarding successful in the future.
Yeah, I agree. Amen. But I also think that like coolness will always prevail, right? Like, so I think like it'll find its level. Right? They say water finds its level or whatever, but coolness will always find its level of it. And so I think there's too much emphasis around like preserving the cool or preserving this or preserving that because it's going to find its way. And that goal line, that line will always shift. It's going to be like, oh, like snowboarding's kind of whack. Well, it maybe isn't whack. It's whack and you perceive it as whack. Or what you're watching is whack, or maybe it's whack because you had a bad experience about it. Like, there's a lot of other elements to it that you could say that like fucking snowboarding is cool as shit because you got to experience it differently. Like examples, like when I was a kid, or when we were coming up, snowboarding was new and hot, and nobody had seen it before, so there was no expectations around it. Everyone was just wowed by it, right? Like, whoa, holy what the hell was that? Like. it's like skateboarding. I mean, that's what got me into snowboarding. It was like I saw it and was blown. I'd never even heard about it. And when I saw it, I was like, that's like skateboarding, but fucking cool. Like what? And then so that's why I gravitated towards it. But I think that like that's, I guess what are my point on that? I think that like it's more about just, I don't know. It's just, to me, I think it's going to be, I think I lost my point, but I think it's just like that level of cool. It's always going to shift, right? And it's like, it's about supporting that group, like that coolness. You've got to support that coolness because every day we shift more and more to an element of familiarity with snowboarding. And it's also the cat's out of the box in a way. Like there's shit being done now where it's like so crazy when you're like flipping through Instagram, and that's pretty much a lot of the only way people look at snowboarding nowadays or anything nowadays is like through like some kind of social. And so you're kind of desensitized to the other parts about it, the fun parts about it. And although that was probably fun for whoever just went buck wild on a fucking, I don't know, 3,000 and whatever's next, like went buck wild on the new, there's that element of like, it's almost like the 360 gets lost in it. The feeling of the 360 gets lost in it. It doesn't get expressed in a post. You know what I mean? Like you have to do it. You got to be there. You got to feel the feeling of like what it feels like to fly through the air, to float through the air, to grab, just fucking grab that thing and then bone the shit out of it and to look down, like, and just to be like, I get like goosebumps on this. Like there's an element to that you can't get through social media. And so these kids, when the 360 is not impressive, they're like, you know, whatever, like snowboarding's kind of whack. You know, they're like tripping out on this, like, you know, 10,000 that this kid just spun. But that being said, I also think now, this is like the conundrum that we're in, I think, is snowboarding has become so unattainable now that it's like, I can't, there's no way I can do that. Sure, that looks cool, but like, it's like super pipe. Shit is just so big. There's no way I'm going to go do that. They see it in the Olympics and they see the best of the best at the highest peaks. Like you can't, there's no way I'm like, as a kid, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, you know, like, I mean, some of these kids do it. They work their way into it or whatever, or they're inspired by it, but it's just not as inspiring anymore because it's desensitized to it. Like when we were younger, you'd see snowboarding and because it was new and because the level was different, you were inspired by things and like, holy crap, that's insane. I can go out and do that tomorrow.
Like find the shady patch with the pole jam.
Exactly. I'm going to the patch.
I'm going to the patch.
I saw a backside 180 out of a rail. I'm doing that tomorrow. Like I'm going to the patch. And I just think that there's a conundrum here of like, you know, you want to progress the sport. You want the sport to grow. You do want the sport to grow because that's the way you're going to get funded. You want people to support it. But also too, you want to keep that element of like, there's a soul and an art to it that you want to also keep. And I think that's the part of the heart part that we try to protect so much because we do feel that like that's being ripped away because all we only see is the mainstream version of it, you know, which is that clip of somebody doing a 10,000, you know. So I don't know. I think that there's like you know what I think solves this is going and having people snowboard.
Totally. To experience it firsthand. Yeah. But to experience snowboarding without because I feel like most people who are using that tool right now are using it for the purpose. It's almost like a tool for a vacation rather than to go snowboarding. It's more like I'm going on vacation, therefore I'm going snowboarding rather than I'm going snowboarding. You're like bringing a tool because you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to like hang out at my friend's bachelor party. And I always use this analogy, but like to go and hopefully meet some babe of some sort and get a hand job in a hot tub and do some ski shots and then go home. You know what I mean? Like, and then snowboarding is intertwined with that so I can get to the final goal here.
Yeah.
But like, it used to just be like, and Scott Surface, who's my neighbor, talks about this all the time. It used to be like snowboarders who snowboard. If you went to the parking lot and someone had a snowboard, you're like, you're a snowboarder. Like, did you see this? Like, everybody who had a board back then was a fucking snowboarder. And I think preserving that and fighting for that is so important. And when you have like, you know, Jeff Keenan just passed away, Alex Pashley, and I went to both of those like Ride Day memorials, like, and you see that community get together and people fucking care about each other. People, like, that community is strong and people are there for each other. People haven't seen each other in years. And that bond of being a snowboarder who's probably hiked that shitty log jam in the shadows, like the patch. Like, you do a couple patch sessions with a homie and it's like, you remember that homie forever. You're like, what's up? I haven't seen you forever, Kyle. Like, selling that to the outside community for others to experience that. It's what makes snowboarding so special. It's why we should preserve what it is. And the reason why I think growing snowboarding is important rather than just like a sales aspect is like, people who snowboard and love this community are good fucking people. And a lot of people are fucked up when they start it. They're running away from problems, or they have substance abuse or trauma or whatever. And you have a bunch of people who started out as kids through this thing. And now that they're adults, a lot of it has changed their life completely. When I saw that like community at Jeff Keenan's memorial at Seymour, I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, snowboarding has brought that whole community together. And like, that community that is there, that is so special and dear to me, isn't sold in all the other companies that are like the fast fashion brands that are taking over the market. And I care so much about preserving like what we have. And I really hope, like you mentioned, like getting brands together and industry leaders together to be like, hey, like, how are we going to move forward to this, to protect this thing? Because like, there's going to be the dope snow of the day that might take over like the entire market by making clickbait, like find the algorithm of the day. Somebody eats a pizza while doing a backflip and it gets all the views. And then people are buying into that culture, which doesn't even exist. If somebody buys into that and they die, nobody even cares. You know, it's just like, there's nothing special about that, but there's something really special going on over here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of cultures have this stuff, but like you said something really good there, which was you had a good point on where snowboarding is good people, and it is good people. Like, and if you're not a good person, eventually you're going to find your way out of the snowboarding culture, because it is, even though it's like, it's a subculture, we're a bunch of fucking shitheads who are, you know, creative and idiots, yeah, and uneducated idiots, you know, but we seem to be doing all right.
But we're awesome.
But we support each other. You know, it's not like, I can just remember going to so many trade shows, and do you remember beef with people? Like, snowboarders don't have beef with each other. I mean, maybe there's a seldom one, but it's like, for the most part, people rally behind like the community of snowboarding. And so there is that element to it, and that preservation, I guess, to me, I think maybe when I hear the word like preserving it or whatever, I think maybe I keep going back to the self-policing of it, and the fact that like snowboarding is fucking cool, and people who have been in the industry for as long as we have been in the industry, we're fucking cool, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be in this industry, because we'd be kicked the fuck out. And like, you know, don't let the door hit you in the ass. Like, that's pretty much the way it goes. And so I don't know. I just think that like, there's no better way to spend a day than with a bunch of cool people, you know, fucking snowboarding. Like, it's great.
What advice do you have for new brands? Like, to the kid right now who's 19, 20, 25, and he's like, I'm going to start a glove company or whatever. Like, do you have any advice for them kind of navigating through this like new landscape to potentially be a successful brand?
That's a tough question. You know, like I find myself on like from a personal standpoint, like what I like from brands, I'm definitely on the more conservative side. of like fashion. And so when I see people who've started new brands or whatever, and then like, I don't know, it'll be like, wow, that's kind of crazy. You've got every color, I think, every single like color that you can imagine in that. And I'll be like, yeah, that's not going to do very well. And then all of a sudden you're like, boom, blows up. I'm like, fuck. I was way off on that one.
Totally.
But I think the biggest advice is just like, I'd say just like, get in on the right people. Just don't be a pusher. Like if you have a cool product and you're a cool kid and like and people want to support you, that's gonna be the start. It's like, how many brands were founded at camp? Like so many, like look at Crab Grab, like Dang, like all these brands that just started at camp, that they just Cobra Dogs, like just started by like doing cool shit, and that's what you just kind of got to do. Just do cool shit and get in front of people.
Yeah, Salmon Arms up here in Canada.
Yep.
Shout out to Nick Haringa. That's Camp of Champions. But I mean, so many brands. To pivot to the opposite spectrum of this conversation, why do you think big brands that started out as small brands fail? And I wanted to get your opinion, and I'm sure you've talked to multiple people about this at some point over the last couple months. But like, why do you think someone like Volcom kind of like failed? Like, where did they go wrong? Well,
I think it goes back to over-indexing for me. It's like that saturation, and a lot of it comes down to expectations. When you buy a company, you don't buy that company to keep it the same. You buy a company so you're like investing money in it. You want it to grow. They see the return on that. They want it to be threefold. Like you're like, oh, cool. Like what is it going to pay off? And they just, I think where brands have the brands that have saw success, there's an expectation of continued success at that rate. So they hire more people. They invest more. They build a bigger team. They get a bigger office. Like there's just a lot of things that they're like, oh, we're fucking going. Train is moving. Let's get on. And they just start spending money. And eventually like your brand, however hot it is going to eventually come down to earth. And if you've spent so much money on investing in this growth that is like this trajectory, like it's eventually going to crash. Like what goes up must come down. Like, and it's those brands that have been able to sustain a level of growth that has been just a nice level. Like business growth, and I'm not a business major or anything like that, and I'm probably the worst person for advice, but I'd say like fast growth for me scares me. It always scares me. It scared me at Nike. It scared me at DC. Anytime we have some kind of like, boom, this shit went off, I'm like, let's double it. I'm like, maybe let's just do half. Like maybe
the Nomis effect.
Yeah, I'm like, because I just think that it's like it's fake. It's like it's eventually will come down to earth. And so I don't know. Some brands have managed to just continue to just crush it. Apple, Nike, big brands. As far as snowboarding brands, I mean, even look at like Burton. They've had their challenges, even like brands like Capita and like thing. I'm sure like they just seem like they've been doing everything right, but I'm sure that they've seen some downside in the industry. It's just where we are in the industry. And like, if we don't continue to grow snowboarding, to continue to get people to be involved in snowboarding and to open our arms to snowboarding, then people aren't there to buy product. And then no one's going to make any money. No one's going to have careers in snowboarding because there's no one there to buy your product.
But if you don't take care of the industry, you're not selling snowboarding, a product, as something that's dope. Snowboarding needs to look and feel cool in order for someone who's never done it before to want to get involved.
Yeah. And I don't know if I answered your question totally, but like, I just think that like, that's why I think they fail. It's expectations. It's companies, especially when companies get bought. They get bought by big conglomerate brands, and they're just like, and they also, there's this thing that they like to do where they always just like, oh, cool, we're going to buy brand X. Like, we have 5 brands at our brand, and we're going to buy this brand, and we'll assimilate them into our brand strategy, into everything in the infrastructure, into it. And next thing you know, you've got one person. You used to have one person who used to handle that job, but now you've got one person who handles that job, but that one person also handles 4 other brands of that same job. And so there's just like, oh, sure, you saved money as a brand, you're saving money as far as headcount, but you're limiting the resources from that strategy. You know, you're like, oh, well, you have one person who's completely waterlogged with all these other brands that he has to like work on, and you expect the same amount of love to still be applied to the brand.
Here's 45 hats. Good luck.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just like, dude, hey, by the way, you're doing this job, that job, and there's a cleanup on aisle 4 you got to take care of, you know? Like, I don't know. I think that there's just like, that's one of my peeves, is just like, you know, and then also too, it's like a lot of brands, and, you know, to pivot a little bit, there's something I wanted. What is the deal? This is maybe, you know, just an awkward question, but like, what is the deal with brands no longer celebrating their teams on the website? Dude, you can't even, like, some brands have, like, there's the team, it's in the drop down, but some brands you'll go to, you can't even find the team. It's like, oh, it's an e-commerce site. Where else why do you have all this team? Why do you have a team if you're not going to celebrate your team? Like, that is such a peeve for me. I'm like, dude, you pay thousands and thousands of dollars for these riders on your team, but you don't highlight them anywhere, maybe with clips of social media, and you still never put together the team.
So that happens because the team manager at the time is like, hey, like, I noticed that there's no team on the website. And the guy in the suit's like, they don't matter that much. Like, they're not important. And then the team manager is like, I want to keep my job. I'm not going to push back against you. So, okay. The most difficult position in snowboarding right now, and we talk about this at length all the time, is a team manager. Because you're supposed to be, like, on snowboarding side, like the culture, but you also need to balance that with helping build a team that can sell the brand, that can make it more profitable, because at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to do. So finding that yin and yang is tough. A side question to this, did you ever need to vouch for somebody who is on the team that the brand might have not seen their value, but you needed to kind of push back and be like, hey, like, their value is X?
Dude, I've done it over and over and over again.
Good for you.
That's like literally why I work at High Cascade now, is because I got tired of fighting for the position of snowboarding, like the culture of it.
That's so fucking sad.
I got tired of fighting my boss at DC, of going for every fucking penny that was going to be given to, like, shoes or something that's failing in the brand. And I am like, dude, our snowboarding department is the fucking crown jewel of, like, the brand right now, but it takes $10 to make $8, and in skateboarding it takes, you know, $2 to make $10. That's the reasoning I get, and I'm like, but if we're fucking selling a shitload of the $8 product over the $2 product,
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're still fucking. It's like, I don't know. I just got tired of it, of fighting and fighting and fighting the fight for a while, and I just needed a break. I wanted to go to a brand that I knew that, like, appreciated snowboarding culture and the value of snowboarding, and so that's why I left DC, and we had a CEO when I was at DC who literally said, I have this little quote. I used to keep quotes in my phone, in my notes. I found them the other day. It's great. one of the quotes was, I have never seen any evidence that an athlete sells product.
Damn.
And I was
That's
like,
a stinger.
ooh, okay, all right, I'll put that one in there. Hold on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was like, damn, dude. All right. Okay. And then, yeah. What do you do?
So what advice do you have for team managers, brand managers who are still fighting the fight at a company?
I just say it's like, dude, just keep fighting. I mean, if you believe in it, keep fighting. You may take a break. Like I who knows? Maybe I'll go fight again someday. But like, I just needed a break, dude. And now I found a spot. Yeah, dude. I was in the fucking trenches, and I was just like, dude, I had a bayonet, and fucking, I'm just like, oh!
Like, can I have some shoes for?
Dude, I'm pitching, like, I'm just watching my budget every year. We're just losing ground every time. And I'm like, I'm winning this fight. I thought, like,
You got Rider of the Year. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly, dude. And like, it's funny, I would say from the team manager side of things too. And it's like, as a rider, you don't really see behind the scenes. Like, and it is what it is. Like, as a team manager, I know there's individuals out there that I had to manage that were like, maybe they felt like I don't have their back, or I didn't have their back, or like I made decisions and that affected them. Dude, if it was up to me, you'd all be rich.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I don't give a shit about, that's not my company. Yeah. I'm here for the sport. I'm here for the culture. I'm here to make you better. Like, I'm here as a tool. Like, I have gone to battle for people, like, but they don't see that, and you can't, and it's not like you can tell them like, dude, you know what I did for you? Like, that's just, you don't say shit like that, but I would just say that from a team manager side, you're going to be unappreciated, but think about it in the long run, maybe someday that person's going to, like, I've had to make some crazy decisions on team, cut people that I'm like, what? I'm like, this ain't me. I'm like, dude, it's like, choose one of your children to die. Like how do you make that choice? A lot of the times it's fucking nerve-wracking. You're like, dude, fucking, you got this guy, you got that guy, this girl. I'm like, yeah, and
Well, I mean, if you're flipping 50-50, the sad thing, like you said earlier, is like, if you're like between Fred and Bob, if you like Fred and you like Bob and they both have different styles, but you like appreciate both of them, but you fucking like to crush a beer every once in a while with Fred and you've never met Bob, that's like, when it's a 50-50, it's like that's where relationships come into. Because I know if I had a company, which Airtime one day will do well, because I'm manifesting that, so you got to talk in a certain way. So it's going to do super well, and then I'm going to pay like certain homies. Yeah. And those homies are most likely going to be people that I know on a person. Like, I like the relationship aspect.
I think that there's an element too of like, you got to put your company hat on too a little bit and do what's right for the brand.
Well, you have to, right? You don't have a job.
Yeah,
and
you don't have a job.
Exist.
And then everything that you have done to better like the team or the brand or like whatever, or just snowboarding in general, is for naught, because you just like basically died on your sword for nothing, because that rider he's not going to be on the team. Yeah. And now that you're gone, maybe there's even more that are going to get cut because you're not there anymore. And half the time what they do is they promote somebody who isn't qualified to be the team manager, or hire somebody that's cheap as shit as they can do it, or they make someone a team captain. And then half the team goes anyway. So it's like it's a tough decision, and it's just that's part of the job. But like, I do think that like you do have to like take that into account of like your brand position, and then what's right for the brand, because you do have to do that. What's right for snowboarding and what's right for the brand. But I think that there's like there's a good balance there, and I think if you can understand that balance, then you'll do well.
Yeah, and I think that the balance, if I was a TM, because this is my we got my team, you know, it's we're under airtime, and my team would just be the best snowboarders, and then as the brand airtime, which hopefully would have a big enough platform, I would use that platform to pick individuals who I think could sell the brand, and so I would only pick people who were personalities, characters, people that are like fun, like something to do with them that's like a little bit more than just the snowboarding aspect. And then I would pick some players that are probably the best at snowboarding, and then I would do a really good job of telling that story. I just don't think that there's enough, maybe there's not enough money being gave to filmmakers and stuff like that to tell the brand story. I mean, some brands in the past have done a really good job. When Casillo was at or U2, when the early DC stuff, when like Torstein kind of was like going off, you know what I mean, and filming 10-minute video parts every year, but everybody for some reason those years were over Torstein, so he didn't get nominated for the Rider of the Year, and some of those parts were like the best parts every year.
Probably fell once.
Yeah, totally.
This whole time.
But K2, they hired Seamus, and like there's been brands that like really put money into the right people to tell the story of their brand, but like if you don't tell your brand story in a way that like is consistent, like it doesn't look and feel. And so many brands right now, I don't get what they are right now. I'm like see some of the riders on their team. I'm like, how is that dude on that? But then you find out that the European market's different than the North American market, but then you're like, dude, well, like, but they need to look the same, but they fucking don't.
You just said that. Oh, that's another like, dude, the battles that I had with the French. Oh my gosh, the French part of DC, the Quicksilver part. Woo.
Oh yeah, I went there. It was a totally different world.
Oh my god, it's like,
yeah, I remember
this kid needs to be on here. Dude, he can barely turn. Why? What?
He's got a sick back 10 mute.
Yeah, you need like, oh my god, dude. And I also think that like when you're building your brand just based off of performance, right? That's the beauty. Is like you put it like it's like a painting, right? You're adding elements to make that better, and not everything is the same. There's a blue, there's a yellow, there's a green. There's like you're creating something with this, and if you just used all blue, then you just have a fucking brand that you're like a painting. You're like, what is that? Some fucking blue canvas?
Yeah, totally. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't want that.
You painted a fucking insane canvas at Nike, and you can see that they gave you some freedom to like really create. They're like, we're going to do our homework. We're going to hire the right person. When we hire the right person, we're going to believe that we hired the right person. And so we're not going to push back, and we're going to trust that we hired the right person who's going to help design this team. And with that freedom, I think that when that company was like, we're here, and they laid out the team, I mean, Adidas did another great job, but it goes to show you that if you hire the right person for the job and then give them the freedom that they deserve, a lot of times like that is where they don't need to be micromanaged so much. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of brands are like, we're going to hire this brand director or a team manager, but then we're going to helicopter parent everything that they're doing and then not really let them design the team or really design or steer the ship of the brand. But it's like, no, you hired that person to steer the ship. Now trust that motherfucker, because he's the person who's in the culture who, if you did a good job hiring them, they're going to steer the ship in the right fucking way.
Yeah, and I also think it's like, you know,
Pyramid Hondo.
Yeah. I always say it's like, I really like to work as a team. Like that's kind of like, and I really value people's opinions. Like I'll bounce things off people a lot. Example, like with the team stuff, you know, it wasn't just me going, this person, that person, that person, that person, that person. That's it. I don't care what you say. You know, it was a matter of like, we think that this person, you know, it's like this person, like example, like Justin Benny, like, and that goes back to like that kid. He basically the first person I hired on Nike because he fit Nike. He was like that kid, dude. I don't care if he only snowboards, you know, like 5 times a year, or he's, you know, got anxiety issues about like hitting things in front of people or like whatever the hell he's doing. I don't care. Like if he actually does snowboard, it's like a cover every time. And he lives and breathes Nike. He's fucking loves it. He's always loved it. He's authentic. And that to me is like, along with that point of like, oh, and then you've got like someone like Danny Cass, you know, to anchor things and to also, but like in his own weird and crazy and rebellious way, you know, that he did, and just a creative genius in a way. And then you know, you all the way from like Nicholas to Giggy, but it's in, you know, even when it comes down to like even like Eric, to be honest, like Barrett had a hand in some of this too. And like when we created that, and I wasn't familiar with Eric as much as Barrett was. And Barrett was like, Eric Jackson is like, that kid is going to be something. And I was like, that sounds right. Okay, cool. Watched a lot of film on him, you know, did some research, ask around, how does he, blah, blah. Eric's the dude, you know? And I like to do that. I like to make sure that I'm working with a team that, you know, where it's not just you're in a vacuum and it's your decision. And it's like, I don't know. That's like advice to brand people when they're building something. It's like, you don't have to do what other people say, but their opinion does help, you know? Like, even though it's like, find people who are like-minded or whatever, or even not so like-minded, but are still within the culture, and pick their brain a little bit about people, you know? Who else do you think would work, you know? I don't know. There's just elements to it, along with the, you know, what's the brand? You know, what do you want the brand to be? You know, does that person fit the brand? So I don't know. It's going back. I'm long-winded here for a thing about the team manager thing, but I would say just from a team manager side of things, like, just keep fighting. Fight for your vision. Fight for the brand. Fight for snowboarding, the culture of it. Like, fight for everything, because it's not going to be easy. Not one piece of your job is going to be easy if you really are fighting for snowboarding, because there's going to be people in that fucking office that want to take that from you. And even if they are people who are snowboarders, they still want to take it from you. People want to take that from you. They're going to try to, like, people are going to try and stab you in the back to be like, I could be a better team manager than you, or like whatever. It's just the human nature of things. Like, I don't know why that kid made that. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to make sure that you are fighting for snowboarding. And it's like one of the things that I always have tried to keep as my guardrails is like, I just always ask myself, is this right for snowboarding? You know, is it right for snowboarding? Is it right for the brand? Because wherever those two meet, that's the path that I want to take. So
I was friends with Eric way back when, lightly friends with him, but I remember he got on Nike, and then he got like let go quick or something, right? And then he sent like his part in that he was filming with Pierre for People that was like 6 minutes long, where he front threes like 130-foot hip, and like films like one of the best well-rounded backcountry parts ever. And he's just like, can I still be on? And then did you guys go like, well, did that happen? Was there?
That did happen. And just, I'm actually playing golf with him tomorrow.
Dude, he is so, he's my
I
dog.
fucking love Eric, but like
Love
it did
Eric.
happen because I got like I got a lot of pressure from Nike sports marketing, like my boss, like, you need to cut somebody. And Eric doesn't fit the mold of this progressive snowboarding. And I had to be like, I don't have any money. Like, I just got my budgets cut and someone needs to go. And everyone's looking at Eric going, he's the one who's the backcountry guy, the backcountry kid. And I had to actually have conversations with Eric about like, dude, like, they don't think you're progressive enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be more progressive. This isn't like, you're not film. This isn't like a hatchet. Like, you know, like, you're not filming backcountry parts to like some butt rock. Like, that's not what the brand Nike is. Like, in order to ride for Nike, you have to kind of be within this mold of like what the brand is.
Rightfully so too.
Right. So
yeah,
I don't know. And we had that conversation, and he fucking, dude, he went out and, to his fucking credit, filmed one of the best video parts that we've fucking seen. Like, he fucking crushed it. And like, and like, prove him wrong, right? Like I had to take that to him and go like, yeah, and like, dude, fucking, how can you cut this kid? Like, we can't cut this kid. Like, and
he made himself uncuttable.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? Like,
that's a sick story.
and that's like part of it. You know, that's like the shit. You know, it's like
that fire.
You do get a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You know, when you do work collaboratively, or when in a brand like Nike, you're not in a vacuum. You don't have the liberty to be in a vacuum and be like, this is how I'm building the brand. You know, just Heisman everybody out of the way. Like that's not the case. You've got to work with people. Like you're going to have opinions. You're going to have a seat at the table. The other people are going to have a seat at the table. That's just how it is, unless you're like the CEO or like.
There's a lot of departments.
Yes, there's a lot. There's people to do that, people to do this and that. It's different than High Cascade. But yeah, so with Eric, I'm glad you brought that up because, like, dude, that's just another, a good example of like a rider not giving up on that and going, no, I'm going to ride for Nike. I'm going to fucking do exactly what you just said. And I don't know, maybe he holds that against me. I don't know. At some point, I'm sure there's some animosity towards the direction and approach that I had to take on that. But also, too, it was either me or him, you know? And like I said, you can die on the sword for the brand, or you can live on to fight for the brand. You know?
But you did the best thing that you could have done. You went to the person at the brand was like, yo, this person needs to go. They don't fit the mold. And then you're like, okay. So then you called him and basically were like, yo, like, it's looking like we're going to have to let you go. But like, I think Eric told me something like that. He had a 6-month contract.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's see what you got. And then because of that phone call, that year for Eric took him from being John's little brother to Eric Jackson is his own household name. And then he went on to film with Travis. And I mean, the Jackson brothers are still filming some of the best snowboarding in the world.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy too because, like, you know, it's like you just get the budget. They just looking at line items, you know. They're like, hey, that needs to go. You know, like, well, you need to cut this much amount out of your budget. And you're just like, and then they're like with my sports marketing boss, I almost said a name there, with my sports marketing boss at the time, he's got his like eyes on everything, you know. It's like they're way more involved. The budget comes from sports marketing. It doesn't come from the brand. It comes from Nike sports marketing. So he's looking at it going like, you know, I have to shave this much off, pick and choose. You're
looking at Gigi, Nicholas, Jed,
yeah, and I gotta like
Benny.
look at this and go my cons. I gotta throw out my cons and pros for everybody, and you're like, dude,
that
Eric.
team is so stacked too. So.
Yeah, and you're kind of hanging out just on in the backcountry. You know, you're not really doing like, you're not fitting the mold that we need you to fit. And this isn't like a forum mold. Like this is like just a progressive mold. That's it. Like you just got to be yourself, and you just got to be a more progressive.
And
rider.
now look at him. He's literally the most Eric he's ever been. He's the most, like, that's who he is.
Yeah.
He was Nike's, like, he needed the check back then, but Eric is way more.
Yeah, dude, and the kid is so fucking talented. I was just like, I'm dying here. I had no money when I walked into that, and then I had a conversation with him, and I literally, I was like, we can't cut this kid. We can't fucking cut this kid. Like, and I had to go back, and I had to sit down with my boss and just be like, dude, I can't cut this kid. We can't cut him. Like, and then I'm like, what if we give him 6 months? You know, like, what do we do this? We're looking at alternatives. And so, and
that's you going for bat though.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. Like, if you're a team manager and you believe in something, you gotta go to bat.
But that's a life thing.
Yeah.
If you believe in something, go to bat for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Kind of.
It's a good life lesson.
It's a good lesson.
Well, I'm happy Eric had a great career.
I mean, I film with him almost every year, a couple times a year, and it's like that. He has not skipped a beat. Like if he's like, yo, like Raz, like how, like you want to hit this 100-foot gap over that weird ice bump? I'm like, what? Like, dude, you're 39. Dude. Like he's an animal.
He's awesome.
Did you see that shot of John Jay doing that crail into that bank, and he's just like jumping over pine trees that are old growth, and you're like, You're like John Jackson. Like fucking like dude.
Those
If there was a
brothers-
photographer that day, that would be like the best. You couldn't be there. A photographer couldn't make a cover out of that because they would be too much of a speck.
Well, you know what's crazy too is like the trajectory path of kids nowadays. You know, it's like everyone starts snowboarding so early. Like I started snowboarding when I was 17 years old. Like people were getting paychecks at that time. Like now, like 17, you're like in the Olympics and you're 17 nowadays. Like, and these kids are starting at such a young age that they're going to have their ups and their downs. Like they're going to have these lulls of like, I'm over snowboarding right now. Like maybe I'm doing it, but I'm not really inspired by it anymore as much as I used to be. And then they're going to take a dip, but that dip's going to bring them back even stronger, you know, like, so it's these waves of like interest, and it's not like basketball where you're like, it's a mechanical thing, you know, it's like, you have to be inspired. Like, you've got to be like, you got to look at something and go, oh, what am I going to do right here? Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this because fucking this is going to be, it's just in your brain. You just got to know this is going to look sick. Like, and it's going to feel awesome, you know? And so, I don't know. I just think that there is like these trajectories nowadays that wasn't there when I was younger, because when you were 30 years old, when I was snowboarding, that was it. Like, dude, are you sure he's 30 years old? 30?
29.
Yeah, he's like 29. He's almost 30 years old. And you're like, dude.
Cab 5 like a G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Because
And
you
now
were
you're
just drinking and not stretching.
Yeah, exactly, dude. When did we didn't go to the gym? I'm like,
I know.
man, fuck, imagine I went to the gym back then. I only went to the gym when I was hurt, you know? Like,
Now for a backcountry ride, every single backcountry rider that is the best is over 30 years old.
yeah.
Undeniably.
It's because they're hitting their prime, their peak.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like
Blake,
it's different.
Paul, everybody.
It's different than like, I mean, even if you look at basketball players, you know, or like hockey players or whatever, when do they hit their prime and peak? It's like their athletic peak is in there, like they hit that 24 to 32, you know, and then they start to drizzle down. But snowboarding is not like that. It's not just athletic.
Yeah, it's not definitive.
Yeah, there's this element of like, it's one, it's softer on your body. It depends on what you're doing, but like than like some sport like that. But there's an element of art to it and creativity, and like, I don't know, that just plays such a bit. It plays more of a part in your snowboarding career than the athleticism does.
Yeah, and there's a handful of pros from your generation who have tastefully over the year adapted with the changes and continued to find a way to place themselves within snowboarding that has like kind of remained tasteful, which is hard to do when your skill set is no longer like I'm hitting the biggest jump or I'm doing the most progressive things. It's like, well, then it's literally coming up to like either your creativity or you have like a really unique style that's just timeless to watch. Like Volley, like was just, there was a big period there where he went into just doing like, you know, 360s, 540s, but like the way he could flow down the mountain, big turns and stuff. I mean, Ika, Curtis Cizik, Tadashi. There's like a group of people who've done a really good job as they got older of like finding their new lanes and like staying, like looking good at it.
Cizik old?
Who, Curtis?
Yeah.
Dude, he's probably like 40.
No, he's not.
Kurt? There's no way he's not older than me. And if he's younger than me, that guy's the dog. Like,
Dude, I feel like he's like a lot younger.
yeah, but that's what you feel because
Yeah.
you've always known. I think Kurt's older than me.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, he turns like he's like maybe like a grandmaster.
I do think, I do think I want to give a shout out to the brands though that have actually taken a chance to invest in the older riders now, because I do think that like there are brands out there now that have been like, yeah, they have been like on board with their, I don't want to say it's token old guy, because some brands have like, they've just embraced like a few of the riders. Yeah, they're in their 40s. And I'm like, dude, that's great. You know, it's like, because for one, if you're in your 40s and you're still snowboarding, like, and I mean that as in like, you're not out doing 100-foot jumps in icy conditions or like whatever, but you're just an inspiration still. There's people who are fucking ripping still in that age. And they're still riding for companies, and the companies are embracing that. I think that's great because one is like there's a whole generation of people who now have disposable income, of customers who have disposable income, who used to watch that person, that pro, who used to inspire to be that pro. And now maybe they're buying product because that is like Brian and Gucci. Oh, what are you going to buy? I'm going to buy an Arbor board because Gooch is on it. Like he's one of my favorite riders. Or like, I don't know. There's just an element there of like just not be kicking them to the curb. It is interesting with like the Volcom thing now, like what some of these riders are going to do.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie with Vans and
Jamie with Vans
Mervin.
and Gooch with Volcom. I'm sure wasn't he still?
Well, Pat Moore's been on there forever too. Yeah, there was a group of them that got let go, but there is a group that I think most snowboard companies now are embracing that like slightly older generation, as long as they're doing it in a certain way that remains inspirational.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the brand managers and the team managers are that age of that individual. And so they're looking at like, is that like sick? And like, does that still inspire people? Or does he just need to get chopped? Which it sucks, but like if your snowboarding isn't done in a certain way at a certain age, like, you're not your job as a team rider is to inspire people to want to replicate what you're doing, whatever age group, you know what I mean, to buy that product.
It's either to make that product look good.
Yeah, it is. It's like does it look dope? Like, and there's like I look at some of the flow riders up here as they get like older, and I'm like, dude, like, I mean, Mikkel's not going anywhere anytime soon. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's got to be pushing 40.
Mikkel has that kind of like.
Well, he's a Viking, so
he's got that like aura around him that is like Japanese riders have it, or like whatever. There's this like, oh my God, that's Mikkel Bang. Like there's this like wisdom and like
wisdom.
Well, I would say wisdom, but like when I'm talking about like.
I love Mikkel, but
no, but when you look at like a Japan, like someone like Tadashi Fuse or something like that, and you're like, dude, there's just, or I don't know, there's just like this. There's this thing that you're like,
I mean,
damn.
he possesses a thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Where it's like he could snowboard fucking forever, and still people would still like, and it's just like, I don't know, he's such a, I don't know, that kid
he's
rips,
very
he's awesome,
very
dude.
marketable too, and just like,
you
look at him and you look at like the way how he moves and carries himself, and he's also somebody who is just like one of the nicest, genuine humans of all time. There's no ulterior motives or anything with him other than like, if you're with him, it's about like jokes, smiles, and like have a couple beers. The guy's a fucking legend.
Yeah, I think there's like a misty aura around him, I think, in a way. The best way I can describe it. Same with like Tadashi or like Ryu, or just there's something about it.
To throw a name out there, because we were talking about older riders who rip, and I didn't say his name, and he was in natural selection, and then just literally went back to like Gigi, or like, what the fuck are you eating?
Dude, Gigi is amazing. Yeah. He's like,
Chad was beside me judging this.
Dude.
You got Chad O beside me, and Chad is like, they're probably the same-ish age. Maybe Chad's a little bit older, and he's just like, he has such a good perspective because he grew up at the same, well, not the same time frame, but they're both fucking in Destroyer and stuff together. He has an idea of how is he still in this event, and he rode in a way that it was undeniable that he's kind of the dog right now. You're like, what? Like, homie's like a first line draft pick right now.
Dude, those guys, those European riders, dude, like legendary, like Gigi and Nico,
I think
and
it's
like
the
those
Beehive.
guys.
He's into Beehive.
Dude, they're just so good. I think those mountains bring up a different rider. Like,
no,
dude, flat light, no problem. Like, it's just
talent 24/7.
Yeah, it's like they can just tackle anything, and like it's just so rad. Gigi's, he's kind of like I like to call him like a snow fairy. He's just like he's
so light.
He's so light and fun and positive. Every time you talk to him, he's like
a kid.
Like he went to camp and he was just like, we are giving all of the kids Tang. And and we're giving them otter pops and tang. They are having the best time. Oh, it's like he's just like so excited about life and camp dude, he's just yeah. I mean, I think last year I was up here. He was just up here randomly. I was like, Giggy, what are you doing here? He's like, oh my younger son's into mountain biking, so I'm up here. And I was just like, holy shit, dude, let's get you a camp.
Yeah, I mean, what a legend.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask you in short. Total derail. Your worst bail you've ever taken.
Worst bail. I put my teeth into my knee joint. That was the worst one.
If it was that bad, you didn't need to say that.
I broke my front teeth off into actually chipped my femur with my teeth, and shattered my teeth like all the way up. So they were like these, like, I basically had this like kind of A-frame that was right here, the chevron, and then it just went straight sheared back. I blew my lip off at the same time, like it was hanging off over here. And then I had to have a knee surgery to get the teeth out of my knee.
You knew that was bad immediately.
No, actually. Well, yeah, I knew the face was bad.
But you didn't know about the knee.
I didn't know about the knee because, like, I had, like, basically we hit this, it wasn't even a big cliff. It was like 8-foot rock or something. And I just, front three, literally did a 300, didn't make the 60 part of it. And I landed in the same bomb hole that I had, like, put probably prior to it, or somebody had did. It was like 20 minutes later, we went up and hit the same thing that we'd hit earlier without even probably scoping the landing or anything, or fired up. We were invincible at that time, so it didn't matter. But the
Smokey J.
Yeah, it just hit so, I mean, it was instant. Wham! And next thing I know, I was like kind of dazed, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and I just saw blood all over my hands, and I just could feel I knew my lip. I could kind of see it hanging off, and I was just like, held snow on it. And the whole time I'm like, well, I got to go down. I started riding down, and I could tell that I had like, I thought I had skin in my teeth. I thought I still had like my lip was in my teeth because my teeth felt so weird. And I was just like, I've got skin just stuck in my teeth and I can't get it out. And I just kept riding down, and I was just like, my fucking teeth, like I just can't get my lip out of my teeth. And then I noticed, I'm like, man, my fucking knees, like, it was kind of hurting or whatever. I knew I hit my face on my knee, but I just didn't pay any mind to it. I was too worried about my face. But then all of a sudden I was like, my boot is fucking soaking wet too. I'm like, why is my boot so wet? And then I like put two and two together, and I look down, and I just have this perfect fucking mark. And it's like, you can't see it right here, but this right here, okay, it fits exactly perfect to my teeth line right there. And so, yeah, that was probably my worst injury.
For that injury, we have a Scandinavian bath pass for you while you're in town if you would like to hit the spa.
Oh, yeah, that would be hell yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go stretch and cold plunge and hot or whatever. Thank you, Scandinavian, for supporting the podcast, and we hope nobody ever does that ever to their hot tub time
Scandinavian?
machine. Yeah, Scandinavian spa.
Oh man, I love them. I love Scandinavian.
10 questions presented by K2, old sponsor of yours. Shout outs to K2 for supporting the show. I'm riding the Alchemist right now. Absolutely love that board. It does everything I want, mainly going fast, and honestly, it's amazing in the park. It's a universal weapon, and it's my favorite snowboard I've ever ridden. Thanks, Jay Stone. Thanks, K2, for supporting the show. You guys fucking rule. You can buy one at actually our shop sponsor, The Source. TheSourceboards.com. 10 questions here to Bobby Meeks. Best style currently and back in the day.
Currently, Arthur Longo. I think that guy can just make anything out of nothing. It's like pretty impressive. Back in the day, best style. I really liked Ingmar's style a lot. He had moments where it was a little like, whoa, where'd that come from? But I think his style was just so fucking sick. Like
very raw.
And then Yoni Makinen had a pretty sick Cab 5. Jamie had good style, but I feel like all of those are like, it's kind of cliche.
I know what you mean. Most underrated, male and female.
We'll do male first because maybe I'll think of it in my portion of my brain that I'm not using right now. We'll think of the female portion, but I think like the male portion of it, I said it before on a different podcast where I thought it was Dustin Craven. I thought that kid is so good. And
He can ride everything.
Yeah, and I feel like he kind of got a little bit of a short end of the stick, just from the industry wise. He just wasn't quite there, like where he should have been from a spotlight level.
I'm going to do a random critique on Dustin Craven's career as somebody who watched it with a fine-tooth comb. He stayed in Whistler for too long and tried to replicate what Aero, Ika, and Mikey and Benji were all doing. And I think that he thought that was his lane, but Dustin's snowboarding to me looks the best in Revelstoke. When he moved to Revelstoke and linked up with Kazu and started going off of like big rowdy cliffs that only somebody like Dustin could kind of ride, like, and riding lines, I really found like he found his niche in that rather than like just riding like cheese wedge jumps, which were so big at the beginning of the 2000s. And I get it, like he's living here and you know you're doing the thing, and he was really fucking good at that shit. He was just better, and he found his niche in rowdy shit in Revelstoke. Like when he started switchback fiving off of shit and landing in pillow fields and like that shit, you're just like, oh fuck, like that's your lane.
Was insane. Like, but that's what I mean. I mean, like he kind of almost was ahead of his time in a way. Like, and the industry kind of just, I feel like a lot of it. Maybe I don't know if it was the industry, but a lot of people overlooked it, I think. The other, from a girl side, this is probably, I'm going to say Jana Mayan, just because no one really knows Jana Mayan that much. I mean, some people do. If you're like a historian, snowboarding historian, you know who Jana Mayan is. But like, I feel like when you talk about some of the all-time greats, women, like she's never brought up. And so I feel like maybe she could have got a little bit more love in the history aspect of snowboarding. Well, she, I mean, she was super talented back then. You'd ride behind her and you were like, who's that dude? And back then there was a pretty big gap difference between like male snowboarders and female snowboarders. Now it's much closer. It's like shit girls do nowadays. I'm just like, holy crap, you're a better snowboarder than I ever was.
Oh yeah, 100%.
On my best day, I could never do what you're doing.
Oh god, like Zoe and stuff.
Yeah, like Zoe or like
Haley.
Dude, I'm like, what?
Jill.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what the generations, you know, have produced.
Who rode the best at Nixon Jib Fest?
Nixon Jib. That's a complicated question.
Who stood out to you? Maybe not the best because that's so like concrete. Where maybe somebody that you were really hyped on their riding at that event, and maybe talk about the event. It's pretty sick that you went to that.
Well, I think that like, you know, obviously like JP and Jeremy, you know, they were so good at rails back then. Thien was really good. Kevin Jones, definitely. I'm going to say maybe it was like Kevin Jones, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, it's so close to those dudes. Like everybody kind of like, when you get in a situation like that, and I'm sure there's people I'm missing, I'm forgetting to, but when you get into like a situation where you just throw people in the arena like that, and it's just like everyone's just trying to one up each other for the most part, and it's all fun. It's like no one's like, it's not a contest, you know. It's just like your fuel is just being hyped by everybody else, you know. The whole thing is being fueled by the energy of that whole thing. And it's like, it was pretty fun. And the fact that people bring that up now, when you look at that contest, the Nixon Jib Fest, I mean, if it was something nowadays, it probably wouldn't even, people would be like, whatever, it was a rail contest, where was it? Whatever. But at the time, it was like innovative. You know,
the most innovative.
Yeah. And it had like really good marketing from and backing of the industry. So.
Yeah, because Mac Dog made that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that film's incredible. And Kevin Jones did kill it there. And to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about Janamayan, a lot of times and being such a snowboard nerd myself, the conversation of greats and best comes up a lot. And I don't think Kevin Jones's name comes up enough. As somebody whose mentor, Tyler Beckel, like somebody that's was a lot older than me growing up, who had the whole catalog of all the VHSs, and he was the good snowboarder at our local hill, and he was the guy I look up to. His favorite snowboarder was Kevin Jones because he's just before my time, and he's like, Kevin Jones is the fucking best snowboarder ever. He's insane. He's light years ahead of everybody. He can do everything. And I was like, what? Who's Kevin Jones? Because I was just after. But now watching all those things and knowing the timeline of snowboarding and knowing how fast between like 1990 and 2005 every year things just got accelerated so fast. Like the tricks that you were seeing, like you were saying, over the years in like 1993 and stuff like that, and riding a Big Bear, you're seeing firsthand tricks get invented, and that happened like every single year at like an alarming rate.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was part of that, so that's kind of what
I
I'm saying.
remember there was was it Sims Worlds was here. It was called Sims Worlds back then. It got turned into something different, right? I think
West Beach Classic?
Yeah, West Beach Classic. It was West Beach Classic, and then it turned into Sims Worlds, I think. But they had a rail contest here. It was Kevin, myself, and E-Tree, like ended up rolling out of here literally on new motorcycles, like new dirt bikes. It was epic.
You guys all won new dirt bikes?
Yeah, we won new dirt bikes. Kevin, I think he got first and got a I think it was a Kawasaki 500, and then Chris and I both won like 250s.
Wow, prizes ain't like that anymore.
No, they aren't.
Coolest snowboard brand of all time?
Joyride.
Sick.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me, we have a Patreon question, which I always forget to read because I've hit my head too many times. But big shout outs to the Patreon members for supporting the podcast. Literally couldn't do this without you guys. I fucking love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Captain Surge says, Bobby, do you have any favorite stories from your Joyride days? Who was on the team with you back then?
Oh man, favorite stories from the Joyride days. Well, when I joined Joyride, it was a bummer because I got on right as soon as like Nate and Roan and Dale had all left. So the last men standing on there with like Jason Carragher, Hilly Mayberry, I think Gabe Crane, and then Jason. Why am I spacing his name? Murphy. Jason didn't come on till a little later in it, but it was funny. I remember we went to Bend, Oregon. And this is going to be a good story. We went to Bend, Oregon, and it was like a team party, and like this guy Frazier was our fucking team captain, and we like get there, and all of a sudden, like you know, like I said, I didn't do drugs, I didn't do any of that stuff. We show up to this like this bar. I forget what it was called, but it was like Cowboy Night or something like that, and everybody took mushrooms, but not me. I was like, it was like, come on, you want? I was like, nah, I'm not. I don't do shit like that. No, I'm good. And so, like, little did I know at that time, like, you know, it's like you take mushrooms, you can just keep drinking, whatever. So, but we went out that evening and just hung out at this bar and partied our fucking asses off. I drank just as much booze, if not more than they did. I was getting so shit-faced. I remember we were doing ski shots with like Jason Carragher and everybody. We were fucking like, rah, just doing just going wild. And then all of a sudden, I remember I was so hammered. I just remember at one time in the evening, I'm like, oh man, my stomach starts rumbling. And I'm like, oh no, I need to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom and I wake up with someone going, come on, let's go. You got to get out of here. I'm like, what? And I'm like I look around and there's fucking urinals everywhere and there's puke all over the place. And it takes me a second to get up and I'm like, wait, where the fuck am I right now? And I'm like, it takes me a second. The guy's like, let's go. Come on. Dude, we get up. I finally get up, stumble out of the bathroom door. The lights are on in the bar. everybody, it was like, dude, I don't even know what time it was when I went to the bathroom. I like time warped to closing. They're like, we've got a cab for you outside. Like, that's how long I'd been in. If this was social media, there was around the time, I'd be such a meme. But they throw me in a cab. I barely, I puked going over the railing. Like, just as soon as I walked out the door, blah, threw up all over the ground. Get into the cab. The cab driver's like, yo, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know the name of the place because the fucking dude, everybody left me. I was like the only person there. And I just was like, bed and breakfast. There's a church across the street. I fucking literally, that's all I knew. This is before cell phones. This is all I knew. Bed and breakfast, church across the street. Next thing I know, boom, we're there. And I'm like, oh, this is the middle of winter. The guy's like, $10 or whatever. And I just, for some reason, I fucking remembered I had $10 in my wallet. I fucking give him $10. I literally crawl out onto the pavement. Like, I'm not joking. I crawled onto the ground and I kicked the door shut and the guy just drove off. And then I remember just laying there and I could see the bed and breakfast from right across the street, like kind of thing. And I was laying there in the cold and the thing, and I just was dry heaving, like, for like 10 minutes or something, just dry heaving. And then finally, I don't have some water. Finally, gather myself, and I'm like, okay. And I go walk up to the door, and I go in the door, and it's locked. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, I can't find a key, and they're all fucking real keys. It's not a digital key. I'm like, fuck. Oh my god. So I pound on the door. Nobody answers, and I'm like, fuck. Pound on the door more. And I put my hand back in my pocket again, find the key. And I'm like, oh, as soon as I pull the key out, the door opens and it's the fucking manager guy. And he's looking at me and I'm like, oh. And I have the key in my hand and he's fucking pissed. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Like talking my drunk slur, and I fucking go into bed. I fucking I go straight into the bedroom and just fucking hit the bed and I'm out. I wake up the next morning. Everyone kind of like just did their thing, left me there. I get up and I'm like, oh my God, I have the worst hangover. Like, it's so bad. I go into the bathroom and I'm like, God, I fucking what did I do last night? It's so fucked up. I go and I'm like, dude, I had the craziest dream last night. I had to like shit and I didn't wipe or like something like that. What was it? Like, and I'm like, I reach down and I'm like, pull my hand out. And I'm like, no, fully
No.
shit. It wasn't, yeah, but it wasn't like I shit my pants. It was like, it took me a minute to realize this, but the reason why when I was in the bathroom, it took me a minute to get up when the guy's like, let's go, is because, and I had that like the stomach issue that night. I fucking passed out on the toilet taking a shit, and I fell down in the toilet onto the ground as I was shitting, apparently. And that's why the guy was like, get up, you gotta go. And it took me so long. It's because I had fucking shit and I didn't even wipe my ass, and I put my pants on and I probably puked all over the place because there was puke everywhere. And then so, yeah, that was my story around Joyride. And realize that I'm not going to drink anymore with people on mushrooms, like it's water.
Imagine if alcohol just came out right now and then people had those stories. People would be like, that's the devil. Like, that is,
dude.
Alcohol, when you overshoot on it, is like, ain't nobody do that on weed. They're like, let's order some more Dominoes and
Yeah.
play some video games.
It was crazy, dude. But Joyride was sick. It was funny. The downfall with Joyride was that they were just the guy Ken Greengar just couldn't get out of his own way. It's like he just couldn't let it be. He had to have his fingers in everything. And like I remember I'd be going over board graphics or colors and stuff like that for your pro model or whatever, and he'd be like he'd just sit there and like read a magazine and listen to you talk or whatever, and then he would just interject and be like, "Really? Red? It's kind of played out right now, don't you think?" And just kind of go and do his own thing. And you're like, what? Like, Why do you care, dude? You're like, I mean, they were awesome. Like they built a great brand, but I think that just kind of, I don't know what it just kind of, they were on trajectory with Burton at one point, and it was just,
way.
yeah. I mean, they were like, there was two brands that were the fucking hot shit, and it was Joyride and it was Burton, and Joyride just collapsed, just based on their own shortcomings.
I mean, I will give a lot of credit to Burton for those like early, like when Craig Kelly kind of designed the rider round table, and it was like Jake Burton apparently, like, you know, he was like, okay, I'll do hands off for a bit in this environment, let the riders get them together, get their feedback, and listen to them, and be like, okay, like what kind of designs do you want to go over? Because those are the people that know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a little bit frustrating when you hear of friends who are designing pro models, which seem to be kind of a dying thing, unfortunately, trying to design it, and they can't change the color or anything like that. It's like, fuck, like what's... And I get like the brand having some say in that, just so it like at least sells. You don't want to make a pro model product that like, you know, tanks, but like it is nice to know that if you're buying the pro model product, that the rider did have a pretty big say on like the graphic and colors, and those things tend to look, you can tell when the rider had their hands kind of in.
Well, I even had that. I mean, on the other side of that, to your point, is like I actually, when I had my second, when I set up my second pro model on Joyride, it was the diving graphic, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, dude, fucking that was the sickest graphic," or whatever. That graphic was a rad graphic to me. It wasn't a rad graphic to everybody else, and that was like a little too close. And at the time, I didn't understand that. Like, oh, I need to create something that I like, but also that will sell, because like it just was too close. Like it was just too close to me. Like it was too close to my experiences or whatever, and just nobody had an attachment to that. And so looking at that graphic, when I look back at it, that's probably one of the things I probably would have changed, in the sense of like, because it didn't do well in the market. And so, and I think that had a big part of the reason why, like, I actually was let go from Joyride the following year, is because my board didn't do very well, and I blew my knee out. And so
The diving board let you down.
yeah, I think that was not a very good thing. But also too, it was weird. I blew my knee out, but I had like video parts coming out, a bunch of stuff. I had a ton of coverage coming out. It was like a really strong year for me at that time, and I was still cut from the team. But
would that have been around the same time as that Blunt magazine cover?
yeah, that's
Nice.
That's the graphic, actually.
No way. Thanks for signing that.
Yeah, no problem.
I have that hanging up.
That's in Rick Scanson. That was Jared Eberhardt shot that.
Shout outs to him.
Yeah.
All right. Best trick you ever saw live while filming?
I'm not gonna say like what, I can't say what the trick is, but in a sense, because, dude, I'm trying to remember, but I've seen Torstein do some shit that I was like, what the fuck? And it's like a lot of shit like that where I'm like, where I saw it live and I'm like, it's like unfathomable that I saw it. So I don't really know like how to answer that, to be honest.
Great response.
But we'll say that it was definitely Torstein.
His ability to read the terrain so quickly to like adapt to whatever feature he's hitting. It doesn't ever seem like he's like, oh, I need to like figure this out. It's like his air into the weird pocket, his first go is a great go.
Yeah.
You're like, how did you navigate its pow,
Sniper.
and like how did you get into the like,
Sniper.
yeah.
Just always knows how much speed he's taking. Like, it's really impressive.
Yeah, he's really good.
Not to glaze him, but
Yeah. Favorite robot food movie out of the trilogy?
I think I want to say, I think maybe it was lame. I think Afterbang was fun, and it was. I was really, I mean, if I look at all the movies, I think Afterbang probably had the most influence at the time. So maybe I'll say Afterbang just because it was like new and fresh, and we were all like, holy crap, like we're doing this, and it did have a lot of fun. But I spent most of that season fucked up. Like I ended up with like I hurt my arm on this fucking rail, and I got tendonitis in my knee, and like I fucking got the flu. There was a bunch of shit that happened to me at the same time and just caused me to like not be able to really ride. So I had like this little last part in almost credits, like in a way. And so I didn't really get a chance to really like, try and, film a video part for that year. But Lame was like one of the years for me that I just like was like, I'm going to film a fucking video part this year. It's going to be fucking strong, like it's going to be fucking on it. And that was one of the years I put it all together. And then I felt like that one was a pretty good, from the production aspect of that video was good. And then After Lame was a weird year. That video wasn't supposed to be what it was. That video was going to be similar to all of our other videos where we're just fucking like everyone's, go through it would have been different, but it wasn't going to be like the documentary of that it really was. But it ended up like to be just because of the season that everybody had. It wasn't a very good year for snow, and like there was a lot of shit that went wrong in that season. But I feel like because of that, the adversity of that season created just a masterpiece. And so it's hard to say, like, because they all have a special place, and I have like insight on how they all came together.
Very well said. I didn't even know at the time, but when it came out and I finished watching Lame and watched Lame like a billion times and had watched Afterbang a billion times, and then that came out and the first play on it, I think it was almost like, what did we just watch?
Yeah.
And then we loved it. And then it was like hard to pick before you would go riding which one to play. Because if you wanted to go out and just watch snowboarding, like maybe you put Afterbang on. And then Lame to me was just a masterpiece as far as like a snowboard movie goes. Afterbang was too. Yeah, they were all fucking so good. Yeah. Wow.
It's funny. It's funny too, because when we think about like you traditional, like at that time, you made a movie, you premiered it, and then you released it. And then the premiere was like, that was the big deal, right? You're like, premieres were happening all over the place. And so with Afterbang, it went through the same thing. It was like premiere, fucking people were like, what the fuck? That was great. And then Lame, same thing, was like, dude, it's fucking types of music that you hadn't even heard before, almost in a way. It was just like really good, like progressive and fun, progression and fun together in a way. And we had added some new faces, and fucking Benedict and those guys absolutely, and Parker just killed it again. But then, and after Lame, it didn't do well as a premiere. I think it was mixed feelings. Like it wasn't like that typical where you sat in the movie theater and you were like, hear people going, yeah, woo, hooting and hollering and stuff like that. I think people walked out similar to what you just said in a way of like, what the fuck was that?
There's a lot because there's so much dialogue in that.
Yeah,
you guys go up with Charlie Morris and stuff, and it rains, and you guys are like,
and it was just like a different, like it's almost like you sat down and watched a movie. Like, oh, we're gonna watch this documentary.
Yeah, very documentary.
But they didn't. No one knew that they were getting into that, and so like I feel like the success on that came afterward. Like it hit different in a way. It was just like people were stoked on it after they watched it a few times, or they watched it later in a different setting where it was like, okay, I just got this. I'm gonna sit down, grab a bowl of popcorn, and sit down and like watch it. Or it wasn't like that, to your point. I'm going to watch it in the morning and I'm going to go get fired up and go ride, because it was like, I don't know. It was just, there was like, dialogue around it and like a story kind of in a way. It had its parts. I don't know. It was just different. It's good bookend to that trilogy.
Yeah, it was
goodbye.
Perfect masterpiece like that. It was the perfect closing piece to that trilogy.
Yeah, people always ask like, oh, why didn't you guys do another one or whatever? And it was just like, it just ran its course. Like, what were we gonna do? Like, go back to butt rock or something? Like they all had their own vibe, and maybe we would have made something totally different. I don't know, but.
Did you see Parker's Backside Rodeo 1080
I
live?
did not. No, I didn't
Did
see
you
it live.
hear about the clip though?
I heard about it, and I didn't see it live.
But like, what was hearing about
think it was
it
in
back
Logan,
then?
I
That
think.
must have been insane. Like,
Well, yeah, it was insane, but it was almost like
not surprising.
one of these things where you're like, what? What happened? Like, okay, whoa, sick, dude, right on, high five. Not really grasping the like what it really looked like. That's the big. Like, I think the fact of when you actually really saw it, it was like one of those things where you're like, oh my God, that's like one of the best tricks that's ever been done, if not the best trick ever at the time, And even if you look back at it now, you just like the way he lands and pow, there's that stomp element that he like, where when you come around from like let's just say a backflip or something like that, and that you're just on it. Everything is on it, and your whole weight distribution, the tail bends, like everything just goes, and you're just like, I mean, he rides away like that. Like he just did like a stupid backflip. Yeah.
The ride away on that clip is so annoying. He's like, he just looks like he's like, got it.
Yeah. Well, that was Travis. Like everything is just like, hee. So funny.
What was your favorite clip you filmed in your full part that you said in After Bang? You were coming up to that season. You were a little bit bummed. The flu, some injuries. You go into Lame. You had that mentality like, this is my fucking year. I have sponsor dollars in a project that the whole industry fucking cares about now that we have proof of concept on the year before. You go into that film with that mindset, and that part is at the time, I would say one of the most standout parts of that earlier 2000s era. Definitely for us in Winnipeg, not being backcountry riders, that part was on loop. It was, I would say, one of the greatest put together parts. You found the personality of Bobby in that perfectly mixed with that song, which is so hard to find a song that perfectly represents the rider and represents the footage. And that, like, the trio of all three of those things coming together was fucking magic. And even when I was a kid that didn't really fully understand, it was like, why am I watching this part every day? I'm like, I'm a rail kid. And it's like the start comes and you're like, to the best song ever, Such Great Heights. You got the back shifty. You got that huge back seven tail. It's fucking boom. The donkey back five, like the long board jump to board slide on the kink thing, and the front board to fakie on the box. He's just like, everything in that part put together was a fucking masterpiece. What was your favorite clip you filmed in that one?
I think that back seven tail was like and then probably close would be the back five. I mean, but I've done back fives forever. Like,
I know, but it's that one in particular is just so dunked.
But that back seven, that felt like the best trick I've ever done.
It's huge.
Yeah, it was like, I just remember grabbing my board and just like bending it, like pulling the tail up and like, but keeping the form, and just having everything just sit there. And it was like one of the first times I felt like where I spun that was like, other than like an indie grab, where everything was just like a frozen in time. And then, yeah, like that was like probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a special series to be a part of. And yeah, weird to be sitting in the booth with you 20 years later from that project and having watched that every day as a kid and what that did for that project. Like for us that lived in Manitoba, Canada, me, Jake Kuzik, Andrew Jeeves, Jesse, like our crew, with Dara, which all moved out west after, like the impact that those films, along with a bunch of other films, but those ones in particular, as a young kid, made us, you go for something like a Kingpin or a Finger on the Trigger movie, you're like, yeah, this is what snowboarding's about. And then you watch that series and you're like, no, this is what it's about. It's about having fun with your fucking friends and joking around. And it just like brought a whole new outlook on snowboarding to our crew at a very young age. And I think at an important age where it's like, we don't need to take it that serious. Like if you do a lip slide and catch your edge, that still might be in the movie. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can slide on your butt on the box. You can do a dark slide. Like, who fucking cares?
Well, that was like, the funny thing is like those movies weren't fake. You know, those were like authentically represented the personalities of our group. Like, to a T. Like, everybody, we enjoyed, you know, some people got along better with others or whatever, but as a group, as a whole, our crews within the crew were fucking great. Like, we all just enjoyed each other's company. We were pranksters. We did funny things. Like, Vile and I always talk about like how we just played pranks on each other constantly. And Travis, we all rode for K2. And so it was like, we were always traveling together and, you know, doing shit.
Yeah.
But it was just, it had a good balance, you know. It's like, I always joke around and it's like, you know, it's like we had that personality, like, you know, I was there for the personality aspect, and like, you know, some of the riding stuff was good, but like I was at no level. I wasn't at the level of like Benedict or UC or Travis or any other things, but like I brought my contribution to that was a different element, you know, than the like, I'm going to go out and fucking stomp the sickest fucking tricks over and over again. Like, I'm going to be color commentating a little bit, and we're going to do this, and we're going to make, I don't know, just have fun and bring an element of like, we're, you know, fun to it, I guess, in a way. At that point, we were always being put together. Like, most of us came from Standard. Like, we were all filming with Standard films, and we just got kind of like, those films are awesome. Like, kudos to them, you know, like they helped create an era of snowboarding. But at that time, we had just kind of went like, we don't want to be associated, not really associated. We would just want to do something different. Like, I'm kind of just tired of the backcountry thing, or like being in the backcountry riding sleds and listening to, you know, like having my video parts edited with like, you know, music that I didn't really want or pick or whatever. And it wasn't always like that. Mike's rad. He totally worked with you, and but there was just like this element. I think at the time when we all were like, hey, let's do this, I think it was just more of an element of like, fuck, this could be cool. Like, because we're just throwing shit out at each other, you know? It's like, oh, what if we did this and that? And there's no parents in the room, you know? It's like a bunch of kids that are gone. We're just like, with the fucking paycheck, we're just like, dude, we've got a credit card. What do we want to do? You know? Which was great. And the hardest part was selling our sponsors on it. That was like the time, because, you know, we just wanted to do it. And the sponsors were very nervous about it. Like, everyone's sponsors. I mean, Burton was just kind of like, you know, it took some talking, I think, to them, just because it was like, wait a minute, we're going to pull UC from MacDog. You know, we're going to pull this person from that company, or like that film crew, this film crew. It's a big chance on a company who's never, you know, who was Jess Gibson as an editor? They didn't know. Who was Pierre Wickberg? They didn't know. You know, it's just a gamble. So, and it seemed like, luckily it paid off.
I mean, I like the idea of companies like Burton taking those gambles every once in a while, because I feel like Burton could take a little bit of a gamble here and there a bit more, and I think it would look good for them. That would be my suggestion to them, is like, you know, maybe you don't gotta go fucking dunk your whole body into the fucking pond, but dip a toe into some other stuff that's that you think could be like that, because that was a gamble, and I thought that was such a good look for Burton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I also do think that like a company like Burton, for example, they do a lot of things probably that we don't really notice or give them recognition for. You know, they do. I think pretty highly of Burton in a sense.
Oh, me
like,
too. That's not a shot.
Yeah, not a shot.
I'm a Burton
but
fan.
I think just more for people listening that like, they do so much for snowboarding, and snowboarding is where they're at because of Burton. To that point, there is a mold that sometimes it's nice to break it.
That's what I mean.
To take
Well
that
said.
chance, and not every gamble is going to pay off.
I just said that because maybe they'll sponsor the TV series.
I think they should sponsor a TV series because because they're great for the sport. You're great for the sport.
There you
You
go.
guys should get married. I know you're married already, but
married.
Congratulations again.
I'm in an open relationship. It's 2025.
I mean, babe, they're paying me.
All right. Who is the Andrew Reynolds of snowboarding?
The Andrew Reynolds of snowboarding. Oh man, maybe a LeBlanc or something. You know, like. I mean,
I
they're
was thinking
total opposite.
I was thinking about that the other day, though, because you know how Reynolds has been going since like 98?
Yeah.
And he's been filming the best shit, and he continues to go. And yeah, of course, he's not doing frontside flips down like fucking 18 stairs now, but he's still so relevant, and he still has such an impact on their culture. And
Yeah.
I'm like, as everyone gets older in snowboarding, I'm kind of look up to that dude because he's doing it right. You know, he's involved in skateboarding. He still does it in a tasteful way. He still films dope shit, but he's not trying to like go and be like, look, I'm the best ever now. He's just like, I'm not trying to do the craziest shit, but I got good style. He's like he's like what I aspire to be like in snowboarding, which is impossible because my career wasn't successful, but and Andrew Reynolds was Andrew Reynolds.
I think I coordinate that a lot because of the fact of the rail aspect, because he was so good at rails and like LeBlanc stair sets.
I like that, and LeBlanc has such a impact still in snowboarding. And
Who's your day one?
who's my day one? I mean, if Nicholas still snowboarded, maybe,
Yeah.
but like I don't. I mean, maybe
'Cause, dude,
maybe Nicholas.
Have
but
you watched Day One lately? He's
he's manual.
going.
He's kick flipping in like
he's still
I don't
going.
Like it. I don't like it.
He's
I
still
think
going.
it's a glitch. I think it's someone has got an AI app and that's not even his footage.
I think he's Chad Otterstrom.
Yeah.
Kinda in a way.
Whoa. That's way more. Yeah, that works. That's good.
I think he's a Chad.
Yeah, that's yeah, day one. And yeah, that's a really fucking good pick. Who's your Rodney Mullen?
That super
Travis Parker if he kept
technical.
riding.
Yeah, but who's still kind of going? I mean, maybe that's kind of like a I mean, from a personality standpoint, like that kind of like brilliance in the eyes.
Yes.
That insanity.
That's what I
in
meant.
the
Just
eyes.
like unlocked the world with his eyes.
Maybe Giggy in a way. Like, cause Gigi's got like this, like you can just see the fire in him sometimes. Where you're like, whoa, dude, you're in it too. Yeah, I don't know. That one's a tougher one.
Most productive day in the backcountry. Do you have a day filming with a crew?
Yes,
You're like,
I
holy
did, actually.
fuck, we killed it today.
Well, from a personal level, if you like from that part in Lame, it's like off one jump. I had like 3 days in a row that were like I filmed like my whole video part. Those like 3 up until that back 7, switchback 5, off of that. I think that was in Sierra Tahoe, and then I think it was Idaho. I think that was Sun Valley, or was Smiley Creek. I got that back 5, and what was one in Europe?
Back shifty on that jump too?
Back 180. No, there was a couple in Europe, but I pretty much built my video part in like 3 days. All the jumps.
I think we talk about this often, but like if you are sick or injured on one of the 3 or 4 stable bluebird days where it snows and no wind comes in and you have good light, you're fucked, because there's probably only like 5 or 6-ish really good days. One of them you're gonna get skunked and maybe the jump didn't work out or the weather rolls in, but like there's only so many really good days and you need to fucking capitalize on those. Sometimes a brand's like, yeah, but like we want you to go to a shop and like say what's up, and like this happens to a couple of my friends who ride for shops in Vancouver, and they're like, I don't think you realize what missing this day is going to do to my year. Like I'm probably going to film 4 clips today. Like,
I know it sounds weird, but there's a chance I could land the first ever
the first ever front 3 on the form step down.
Exactly.
All right, since we're at the end here, but we'll have one more beer anyway. In your eyes, and this is always asked on Snowboard Podcast, but whatever, fuck it. Who is the GOAT, male and female?
Michael Jordan.
I mean, he's pretty good. What about
male and female? The GOAT. Dude, that's such a hard question. Like
I know,
to say,
everyone
you know,
hates
it's
it.
like, oh, everybody, you know, it's like, oh, it's this person, it's that person.
who's your daily GOAT? Who's your GOAT today?
My GOAT today is probably like Arthur. I just like love fucking watching him snowboard because it's like, it goes back to that thing with like attainable snowboarding, like relatable snowboarding, where you're like, dude, that's just a fucking side hit. I could do that. But
you can't.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't do it like that, you know? But you think you can, you know? And all it was just a fucking 360.
Bobby, I think you could ride in, pop, not get as high with the pop, but get the back shifty, be in the air. What fascinates me is that he can land in a mogul field and his back foot turns into like a hydraulic, like he's just like, you're like, how does your back leg turn into like a suspension system like that? And you can just bomb out for 300 feet on a mogul field.
Yeah, he just ride out, no big deal. Yeah, the
like what the fuck?
I think he's like inspirational. To be honest, I got a couple GOATs. I think one is like, if I had to say it, like a jump GOAT. Like my jump GOAT is Torstein. He is. I'm telling you, I was a DC team manager for 5 years, and I can count maybe on one hand the times I've seen him fall. Like he just doesn't fall. Like it's crazy. Like in powder, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, front 10 into pow and just. You're like, yep, I'm going to do this now or whatever. I'm just like, dude, he's like warming up with these tricks. I'm like, it's pretty impressive, his work and his work ethic and like, and just, yeah, I don't know, just his ability to just fucking lace it. It's like pretty impressive. Jed and Luif for rails. I mean,
it's annoying at this point.
Yeah.
Luif has turned into like a hybrid of like all of the different disciplines in snowboarding, making him like probably one of the better ATVs of all time, or the best ATVs of all time. But Jed is just fucking riding massive rails still and back lipping them and just doing things that like yeah,
he
it's
took
one of
a
the
break.
He did take like back to like he took a little hiatus.
I'm gonna go be a skateboarder
for a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half, and then he was like, "Oh, I guess I should focus back on snowboarding."
It's so easy. Why not?
Yeah, and that's kind of with Jed is like, I think it goes back. It's like when you're just that naturally talented, it's like, dude, you can just see it, and it's just like, nah, yeah, I guess I'll do that. I'll get some shots today, and you just go out and you just fucking.
So annoying.
Where I don't know, yeah, it's crazy to me. Yeah, those two dudes, and I don't know, they're neck and neck because they're just. It's hard to like not consider the other one. But Luif's, I think that like he's been relevant for a longer period of time, and like his diversity within snowboarding is impressive, I think.
Yeah, I like that he's like adapted. He's done a really good job, and if he continues on this path, like he's up for the Andrew Reynolds Award too. Just
yeah.
He's like, but it's sad because someone like Luif is like, if you know, but it doesn't seem like there's enough kids right now that are like, and I'm basing this off of the, I did a podcast with him, or like a short one a year ago or something. And I was like, whoa, he only has that many followers? Because in my head, I'm like, oh, Luif's probably got like 98,000 million. Like he's one of the best snowboarders ever, and he has been for 20 years. He's ended 15 videos, opened 5, has 4 X Games medals.
Highly promoted snowboarder for Solomon.
And then you're like, oh, he only has this many. I'm like, that just goes to show that snowboarding doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Like it does. It shows like there's not enough people that like how is like what the fuck?
Well, my take on that would be that shows you how many core snowboarders there are in the industry, in our sport.
Yeah.
Because like the rail game is impressive as we all look at it. It's not something that the average snowboarder, the weekend
That's why
warrior.
Arthur's so big.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody likes a side hit.
Because it's relatable. That person can see Arthur hit that side hit and go, I can fucking do that today. I'm not going to go find a 5-stair fucking kink rail, 5 kink rail at Montreal. Like, it's just not, I'm not going to find an area where I'm going to do something off into a dam. You know, like, it's just not relatable, I think, for the average person. And that's why I think it's like this 20-80 rule, right? Where you're like 20% of snowboarding is that core part, but it needs the other 80 part, which is that average snowboarder. But that average snowboarder can barely relate to that 20%. You know what I mean? The 20% is inspiring people, but it's not. It's really the translation there. There's a lost in translation sometimes, you know? I think there might even be a gray area if you were like 20, like maybe it's even like a 5, and then you're like, oh, and then there's a 15% gray area, and then it's like, you know, and then there's the 80%, the other 80%. That's like weekend warriors, people who buy product. Every
weekend warriors
single,
rule, though. Like,
yeah, and it's almost it's almost derogatory, but it's not. It's not derogatory. That just means to me, it's like that person doesn't live, breathe snowboarding.
Yeah.
That person just goes out on the weekends.
But if you're a weekend warrior, to me, you're working 9 to 5. You got shit to do. If you're doing it once a week, every 2 weeks, like you're a fucking boarder. You're not like somebody who lives in a mountain town, like fucking a boarder.
Yeah, but you know what you just said is you're working 9 to 5. You know what that means? You have disposable income.
Yeah.
And so you're buying product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like name one core snowboarder that you know that's buying.
Oh, they're asking
product.
it for free, or they're exactly. They're going to thrift stores.
I have never in my life bought a snowboarder. Like other than from a second hand, like my first snowboard and second snowboard. Other than that, I've always gotten free snowboards. Like I'm fucking spoiled. It's like, but that's crazy. But that's like how the industry is.
You need the weekenders to buy the product. But the weekenders are the people that with airtime I'm trying to like speak to. I don't want to speak to like I'm not trying to speak to the full on like kooky world. It's not for me. But like if you're a weekend warrior and you just like going boarding and hitting some laps and you're tuning in and listening to this, like that is a big part of my audience, and those are the people that I want to get excited by sharing these stories with some like a legend like yourself, to hopefully get people inspired to go check out the Robot Food series, or to like get involved in like go to your local premiere and watch a snowboard video and see it, like, and follow somebody like LeWiff, and then get inspired by that and maybe go to Japan with a couple buddies and fucking shred it up.
Well, I think now that I'm thinking about this, I think there's probably like 3 different snowboarders, right? 3 different categories of snowboarders.
All right, let's go.
There's the core.
Yep, I agree.
Who are snowboarders, so they still fall into this category. But then there's people who consider themselves snowboarders. Mm-hmm. And that's a good portion of it as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's like the people who snowboard.
The hand job hot tub people.
Yeah, people who snowboard. And those people who snowboard buy product, kind of a lot.
They bought a board to go to a bachelor party.
But people who are snowboarders will buy product, but they'll also kind of get some of it for free because they're
or a deal.
Or a deal. They're homies with somebody or whatever. But they're the people who are aspire a little bit to be that person, to that core part, but they're not. They're not, or they're never going to be there. They're the people who ride, like, I ride 80 times, 80 days a year or whatever. But they're never going to be a pro snowboarder, like, as far as, like, getting paychecks, and that's their profession. The definition of pro snowboarder.
I think a lot of people look at pro snowboarders and go, like, I'll make more money in trades, I'll stay here. And you're like, yeah, you will.
Yeah, and then there's that core, and then there's the core element, right? And that's, like, the core of it. That's, like, the people who were like us, who actually lived it, who went on, road trips, team trips.
We went to the front lines.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the guys for 20 years.
Yeah, we're all going to have our own retirement home.
The guy who put his fucking teeth through his knee stories.
That's I want to develop a retirement, old action sports retirement community.
Oh, nice. Just for snowboarders.
Just for fucking snowboarders and skateboarders.
We can all just talk about tricks that got away.
We'll
Like,
get some of the,
if I only landed that back nine, it would have changed my whole career.
we'll get some of the skiers. Like, some of them are pretty cool. Yeah.
Couple.
Yeah.
Not a whole lineup.
Not a whole lineup, yeah, I think that I don't know where I got off, but the goat conversation, I think from a girl side of things, I think probably like Barrett is kind of, or Leanne is really good too. I think like, I don't know. It's just so hard with the girl aspect because I feel like the talent is like so high with those girls, but they're also like, they connect with, there's such a camaraderie in girls snowboarding, and there's like connective tissue that guys don't have in snowboarding in a way. And so it's really hard for me to say who the girl goat is, because I feel like they're all kind of goats. If they reach that level, I can tell you who will be the goat. It's going to be Zoe or like, and even if you look at like example, like someone like Anna Gasser, who's like, you're like, what the like when she came out, like, holy shit, she's like blowing minds. Like she did tricks no one's ever done before.
Yeah, I mean, those were all great ones.
But does that qualify her as a goat? I don't think so. I think it's an influence thing. It's like the influence that they've had on snowboarding. And I think that like there's girls like,
well, you got to define the terms of goat, and then when you define what goat you're talking about, because you could go like the style goat. You could talk about the goat from 2025. You could talk about the girl who had the longest contest career. So there's lots of ways to like have an open-ended discussion. But if you're talking about like maybe the biggest influence of all time, you know what I mean? Then that's tough, because you're like, did Jamie Anderson have the biggest influence because she was on so many podiums for 15 years in a row, or was it Victoria, or was it fucking Tara Takitis, who was fucking in Nokia commercials and shit? Like,
to be honest, out of all the names you just said, I'd say probably Jamie Anderson. As far as the most successful careers,
she's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And
huge.
rightfully so. Like when at the time before Zoe and Anna Gasser and those two girls in particular that you brought up that really brought in the 10s, the 12s, the double corks, like Jamie was the one who was doing cab 10 double corks and stuff. Like she was melting fucking minds. And like Elena, it's pretty hard to not say that one year she did the fucking double back rodeo in the fucking half pipe, that she didn't have her own influence in pipe riding, but like she was also fucking huge.
Which we never even talk about pipe riding as like part when we talk about riding.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I talk about pipe riding, it's just tough because I'm not a fucking pipe rider. I come from Winnipeg, so zero pipe background, but I watch it in fucking awe.
Like people don't understand how gnarly it is. I think like Andy Wright and like Frony and like a bunch of the DC crew.
Frony.
Yeah, we were having like a discussion one day about in Japan, and we were driving about like what's gnarly and what's gnarly, or like pipe riding or like rails. And you're like, dude, fucking pipe is gnarly, dude.
It's the gnarliest.
You're like, a back lip down a 5K. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you can. When you think about consequence, like, yeah, you could fall. And you could get fucked up. You could even die, like doing a rail. But on a pipe, your level of death is a 22-foot. You pop out just a little bit, and you are dropping from like not just now 22 feet in the air, but like now you're dropping 40.
Yeah,
to fucking ice. Yeah, I'm like, dude, that is
especially when it's a
gnarly,
night pipe,
dude.
Night pipe.
It's like the people who fucking like when you fall, you get fucked up, like for life.
There's a lot of snowboarders who have gotten fucked up on two features in particular. And a lot of them, no one's ever going to remember. And it's on a fucking hip, when a hip is built properly.
Yeah.
There's that Japanese kid at Super Park, one of the last years where they're actually building big shit. The last couple of years got a little softer and they made it a little bit more playful. But I think like 3 years before the last Super Park, like 2016, I want to say, there was a Japanese kid who went fucked up big on a hip and G'd out to the wrong side.
Dude, I saw that personally.
Oh my God.
I remember seeing that. It was insane. He just
still doesn't snowboard.
He just went off.
But the fact that he's alive is great.
He just went, he didn't make any landing at all. Yeah, that was. I remember watching that. He just like, disappeared.
We saw one at Mammoth 2008, I want to say, Super Park. One of my first years, and this, I forget his fucking name, but he went so big on the hip, and to Pat Bridges, who ran the whole fucking thing, the person before him, I'm pretty sure I remember it like this, did a Miller flip out of the rut, and so they kind of tweaked it a bit. And I think that person got yelled at or whatever, but the person who went next, and it's a slushy day, you know, if you're doing a hand plant on the corner of the thing and then somebody else is trying to go for the highest air of the day, that's going to fuck the rut up.
Yeah.
And he fucking G'd out and flew out to the left, same thing, and went to, well, not the same thing, because the Japanese rider went in where he went out. So did the probably 20-foot air and then dropped probably 30, 40 feet, claps his stern, like just screaming in the landing, just like dead. And at those Super Park events, it's very amphitheater effect. So it's like there was like 100 people. Like, I don't think that dude fucking did so well either. I don't know who that was, but
I remember the
hope
time
you're doing
that,
well,
like,
brother.
Those contests were like, those events were kind of like, do you think they're gonna hit this? You know, like that's how they were built. Like, this is crazy. You think people are gonna hit this? Like,
it was scary. For the middle class riders like me to go to those, and then like you have your Torsteins and you have your Heldors, Bjorn. Who else used to go? Kevin Griffin used to fucking ride a lot of. Dustin Craven was a really big Super Park standout. Lonnie Cock.
Yeah, Super Park was for the young.
Pat Bridges. Pat Moore.
Yeah. Pat's a standout. For sure.
Pat Bridges was a standout for sure. Just tail blocking his way down. Just not. Yeah.
Just smoking grits and fucking Red Bull hand plant.
I was about to say half an hour ago we would close this off, but we opened the beer, so I was like, we might as well record while we're just fucking chilling in here.
You're gonna piece all this together.
This is the longest fucking podcast I think I've ever done.
Well, I have the most raspy voice right now too, and it's like this whole time I've just been like talking like I'm like on NPR or something. Like,
welcome back.
Well, what I've been trying to do is like lately I've been trying to focus on what makes me better.
I had a really good cab 5 that nobody noticed.
Yeah,
I mean, your homie Kurt Westell was a fucking dog back then. There was a couple
dude, Kurt was sick, dude, yeah.
I mean, I just say that more of like the history of Kurt going to that Super Park and hitting that jump has been documented in Snowboarder Mag like every 3 years. When I was a kid, they're like, and don't forget that Kurt Westell hit this jump and you're a bitch. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, but it's funny because like, I guess for those who like needed to be noticed, like Super Park was the thing, right?
Oh, 100%.
But
it's
for those,
put you on the map.
Yeah, exactly. And for people like example, like Sean Tidor, I think he broke the fuck off and like broke both of his knees, blew both of them out, like walked wobble, like bow-kneed, coming up short on one of those jumps. You know, I'm pretty sure that happened at Super Park. Like, there's a fine line where you get to where you're like, what are we really building these parks for? You know, it's like, do we really need to be as much? And that's where I come back to like, are we making snowboarding accessible? It's funny if I come back to like, if I relate it to mountain biking, like mountain bike's gnarly. It's fucking like, you don't just like butt check for mountain biking. You fall, you get fucked up. That's just, I mean, if you walk away from a fall in mountain biking, then you're just like, fuck, that you were lucky, right? So in Bentonville, Arkansas, they have this thing called Bentonville Bike Fest. And I went out there to just like, because, you know, one of our camps is Milepost 35 mountain bike camp. And so I would go out there to check it out, see what the scene's like. And they have done this whole, it's the town of Walmart was from. And so Walmart, I don't know if one of the sons of the founders of Walmart is like a mountain bike fan or knows somebody, but Walmart empowered this guy to make Bentonville the like mountain bike capital of the world. in a way, so to say. So basically, they don't really have like the mountains, like the Pacific Northwest, like Whistler or in Washington or Oregon or anything like that. They have like, it's pretty mellow hills and stuff, but they've created an insane environment there that is accessible for the sport of mountain biking. That actually is like almost like an introduction. I guarantee you there's people there that are like, I'm a mountain biker, because they've mountain biked all of that shit, and they have no idea of how gnarly mountain biking is, in a sense of like, if they had to ride terrain that was like, Pacific Northwest terrain, or like some of the stuff like, oh, these black lines out here are a little different. They're a little different than out there. And so, but they've manufactured this mountain bike. Like it's almost like if you were to go buy a Lego kit of mountain biking. What is mountain biking? Like, oh, I got the kit and I'm gonna put it together. Like, that's what it was. It's like, it's literally like turns, like snake turns that are rock, like not dirt, rock. And they're like rock, fake rock. Like, it's like a rock patio almost, they're like, there's just a lot of weird things. There's a castle and like all these like weird trails and stuff. And I don't know, long story short on this is, it's like, as whack as it sounds sometimes when you talk about this, it's fucking rad for mountain biking, because it's creating mountain bike customers, and it's creating people who will eventually maybe move to Whistler, will maybe like move to the Pacific Northwest to be a fucking mountain biker, or like follow that dream. It's like creating it's an easy door, like an easy intro into it. And I think that that's important. And that's like what I think that like we, as the core of the sport of snowboarding and like skateboarding and skiing and like all these sports, need to remember, on the sense of like, we still need to we still need to make sure that we're being creative and we're being aspirational and providing these elements to get people to discover it and to be a part of this beautiful thing that we have, which is snowboarding.
That's why hike parks, I think, in like random fucking small towns in the middle of nowhere are awesome. Like the Dylan Ojo hike park that they did in Montreal was like, yeah, like get a bunch of kids from the inner city to go buy fucking boards from the thrift store for $5 and give them a box to slide on. That's all they need. Just give them the access to experience it. And the cool thing about snowboarding is a lot of people, and yes, of course, if you come to Whistler, it's expensive, but that's kind of like the final boss. You know what I mean? You don't need to do that. You can go, if it's your first time and you're 15, go ride a picnic table in the backyard of wherever there's a hill, and like the first 4 years on that can be the best time ever. I mean, I could still go ride a picnic table in Winnipeg on a small slope and have the best day ever, and do a front one switch 50, back 180, and be like, woo! Like, you know what I mean? Maybe that's a bad trick. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll think of something cooler right now.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's front 180 on, back 180 off. Maybe like something like we'll go JP Walker. We're like, no,
depends on
press back 180.
Depends on where your hands were placed. If they were a little too close, and maybe.
Well, I mean, I guess if you hit it from the side and you rode it like more coping style and you popped up to the top, it'd be cool. But
maybe
like,
nollie in or something.
Yeah. Whoa, that'd be crazy. Nollie half cab, like nollie front 180.
Like,
that
just
would
pop your tail, like.
That's. I mean, that's a trick that snowboarding has long butchered. I'd say 80% of snowboarders who filmed nollie and fakie tricks, it's been like just a double foot ollie, not actually nollie, and then you actually have somebody who films the clip properly, like a Benny or a Lung or an E-Man or whatever, and you're like, what? Like, whoa! Like, back to Benny doing anything.
Those guys,
like, yeah.
Some of the shit that they can do on flat ground, like the pop that they can
Dead
get.
Lung's kind of like, he's still going on.
I can't even ollie over like some of those slow signs that are like down, and I've been snowboarding for like fucking 100 years. I'm like, dude, how are you getting that much pop to get over these slow signs?
Dude, E-Man did a fakie back 3 over a slow sign, going in completely blind. It's fucking 4.5 feet tall. Like, there is nobody better at slow sign popping than fucking my dog, E-Man Anderson.
E-Man goat.
I mean, he's the goat. Dude, he's the greatest of all time.
Dude, he used to shout out E-Man. He used to email me, and it was the best shit.
Oh, I bet you was rogue.
Dude, when I was at Nike, he'd just be like, email you, yo, where's my shit at? Or like, yo, when are you sending me my stuff? Stuff like that. And I'm like, who is this dude? I don't even know who this guy is. I'm like, I would get these random emails that were so blunt of like, yo, this is what I want. and like, shit, I wish I've like kept them. I probably do have them somewhere, but like, they were just like some things where I was like, what? Wait, who the fuck is E-Man?
He's like, I'm the greatest of all time.
Yeah, this was like, way back when I had no idea who he was at first. And then after a little research, after like 5 emails, I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah. For sure, in our group here in Whistler, which there's been like a lot of
You probably
greats.
gave him my email.
I think I did. Dude, thank you. You used to. I probably did. Sorry about that. I thought he would be a little bit more respectful, but yeah. Shout outs to you for hooking me up with Nikes back in the day. I really appreciate that. I got some dope boxes from you back then, and for me at that point in my life, just getting free stuff, and a box that wasn't just like one pair of boots. You know what I mean? You get a box. You're like, I'm part of this, and if I like work really hard. Didn't work as hard as Ejac, but like, if I work kind of hard, maybe I can go somewhere. But it kind of folded before, or maybe I got an offer from DC, and I went to DC.
Do you remember you gave me a call to talk to me about that?
No, I don't. I do remember I called you a couple occasions, but I don't remember.
No,
the
you called me to
conversation.
talk to me about that. You're like, dude, I just wanted to let you know I got an offer from DC, and I just you've been so good. I just wanted to. I don't know. I'm torn and like whatever. I'm like, dude. Take that fucking check and run, dude. I'm like, you just go ride for DC, like do it, because like honestly, like the amount of budget that I had and who we had on the team, I was just like, dude, if you can get paid right now, take it.
I mean, that's good advice for a kid. If you have two companies that you both like I really liked Nike, and a big part of that was obviously because you were there, the team that you had helped facilitate. I was like, I fuck with what's going on there. I mean, there's this like dance now I have with like if a brand like that came back in, now that I've seen Nike and Adidas come in, be there for a short stint and pull out. So I kind of have a different perspective on that. Now that I'm a bit older, I might navigate that a little differently. But like DC at the same time, you have like, Mountain Life 1 came out, 1.5 had just come out. You got Laurie, Bittner, Torstein, Devin, Ika. You have this team that like I looked up to all those people, and I started meeting a lot of like Devin, Ika, and Laurie from them coming up to Whistler, and I was like, oh my God, but this team's fucking so sick too, and they're gonna cut me a check. I don't think it was anything crazy, but like it was definitely like pretty dope, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But that ended up folding too after I think 3 years, because they ended up keeping one person on Canada and they kept Anto.
Yeah.
And fucking rightfully so. Like as far as like what we were saying about Eric Jackson just being like, I'm going to be undeniably savage at this. Like Anto, like I have never filmed with anybody who is hard. He's so hard working, dedicated, focused, motivated. And my favorite thing about Anto is focused on filming the way he likes to film. And if I like to ride different stuff, he wants you to get that shot just as much. It's not a successful day to Anto unless the whole crew, like the photographers going home stoked, all the riders that are there getting clips, like I fucking love that dude. Shout out to Anto. He's the dog.
Double shout out, because like Anto is the hardest working, like most professional person I've ever worked with. Like literally, it like this. I'm not joking. We'd go to some spot or whatever, and I'd be like, oh Anto, like, what are you gonna do? He's like, what do you want me to do?
I can do anything.
Yeah, like seriously, I'd be like, oh, we'll try this, and he'd be like, okay, and he'd fucking do it. Like, just got it. Like that was his like.
You like go to a church and you're like you don't even see the spot and you're like, yo, what should I do? And you're like, I don't know, Miller flip the top on Jesus Christ. He's like, I'll do that.
Yeah, dude, he would try anything. Anything.
He wouldn't even try. He would like build a feature that was like nobody else in the world could even see, and then he would do what like nobody in the world still can do. Yeah. Like,
but like, and he was just like
psycho,
a fucking workhorse. Like, amazing. Like he was so professional in how he worked. It was a pleasure working with him for sure.
I don't know if anybody's still listening because we're almost at like 4 hours, but if they are, Anto one time picked me up from the fucking airport and we went to a spot, and he did on a kink, and I think he did a switchback 270 onto it. And he's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I was thinking like switch lip slide to switch." He's like, "That's been done 5 years ago by Frank Bourgeois." And I'd be like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Well, I'll think a switch front board." He's like, "That's been done by LeWiff in 2002." And you're like, "Oh, I was thinking back. That's been done." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just gonna fucking pull bungee." And then Anto switchback 270s it, and then he's got to go like. He's got to do some firefighting shit.
Yeah.
Like that night. And then the next morning, the
he's got
timeline might be a little
properties.
off. Oh, yeah. He's like, I had to use the jaws of life last night and save some daughter. And then he's there the next day building the next thing. And he's doing push-ups all day because he's got to meet his quota. Now he owns like 500 million pieces of fucking real estate. Like fucking Dan Breezy style of Canada. He's
amazing.
Love that dude.
Yeah, Dan is... amazing as well. Like,
yeah, shout out to
I went on a
Dan
trip with
Breezy.
him. He's just fucking, he's great.
Yeah, there's
Dan used to have such a sick frontside spin off his toes. No,
I always thought this, and I like that the beers are kind of hitting now, so we can just kind of say what I really feel. Dan Breezy rail approach never was into. It always seemed like I need to win the rail thing or what. It's like the biggest. Back to what you were saying earlier, like. Is more better. Dan's approach was more is better. And my whole thing being less talented, I always looked up to people who did it in a more creative way. And but Breezy's fucking jump shit always hit for me. Like homie had pop, could do the dope, he could back 9 a jump, front fucking 7 tail, go so big. I was always like. And he rode for Volcom outerwear, so he'd always have like fucked outerwear shit that I'm also like at that time I was kind of down with. And I was like, oh, he's wearing like Gigi's fucking pastel red fucking full kit and doing like the biggest back 7 melon over like a death gap. I'm always like, Breezy jumping, love it. Breezy rails wasn't for me.
But no one could wear the Volcom kits like Gigi can.
It's
like
true.
The way
they were made for Gigi.
Yeah, the way they hung and like everything else, like totally different when you put it on like someone like Breezy.
Remember the Oakley pants that said Oakley down the legs?
Oh, yeah.
No one pulled those off. No one.
No.
Travis wore them. Fucking Aero Edela had them.
Dude, it's funny too. Like, I'm a huge advocate of. I'm a huge advocate of just because you can doesn't mean you should. And there's definitely, I'm not going to name any snowboarders to get me in the hot seat, but like there's some things where I'm like, that's cool that you could do that, but you might want to.
I think that I'm running out of space. I've never recorded for 4 hours. We got 23 seconds until this episode's over.
Cool.
All right, everybody. I didn't expect that to come like that, but we're about to end in 15 seconds. Bobby Meeks, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If this was the bomb hole, I would be more professional.
I like it raw.
All right, 10 seconds. Anything else you want to say?
Can we edit
5.
I like it raw out?
Okay. 4, 3. Thanks. We'll see you next
kidding.
time, everybody.
Thanks.
Peace. That ended perfectly.
Have you been listening to the show for a while now? Maybe you're new. Well, if you want to support the show, you can by joining our Patreon family. For as little as $5 a month, you can support the show. Members will get perks like free sticker packs, discount on merchandise, and an opportunity to send in guest questions. Already a member, thank you so much for your support. Means the world. For more information, visit patreon.com/airtimepodcast.